Comics Cast Let It Out, coming at you on a beautiful April 3rd, 2022. And today is another another piece in a series that we're doing for Raid Studios. I'm so happy to have these three special individuals. But before we get to that, I want to let you know what Comics Cast is. It's all about the indie creator. We want to make sure that Raid Studios. I'm so happy to have these three special individuals. But before we get to that, I want to let you know what, and I'm getting go. Sorry about that. It's about the indie comic community, and we have three special individuals, and we just want to let you know what Cast Let It Out is about. We're going to have a draw along. It's going to be a little bit of an interview, and we're just going to get to know them a little bit better. So that being said, barring any more technical difficulties, let's start the show. I don't know what the deal is. I always have these little technical glitches that happen. My speaker started misbehaving and I could hear myself talking from the other end of the room. So I apologize for that. But I want to welcome Mr. Andy Dorland, Miss Katie Sawatsky, and the ever infamous, ever popular Sam Noir. Welcome to Comics Cast Let It Out. Say hi to everybody.
Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hello. I want to welcome you all. It's such a honor to have you on here. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, this is yet another episode that's dedicated to my brothers and sisters in Canada from Raid Studios. So I'm so happy to have you all. And just so before we get too deep into it, if people want to go to the chat area, I'm going to list how you can like and follow the three of our guests here today. So it is there right now. I would like you to copy and paste that. Keep that in on your clipboard. I want you to stay here though, because we got a great story. A great story to talk about, you guys. So that being said, let's jump into what we call the origin story. And the origin story is basically talking about the beginning of your creative journeys here, or your creative art journeys. So like we talked about in the pre-show, we're going to start out with Katie. So Katie, that's who we have right here. I'm going to show some of your just brilliant artwork, and let's just talk about where you've come from and where you're going, and let's get to right where you come up to Raid. So the mic is now in your hands, and let's show some artwork.
Okay, yeah, get that up. I love a talking point.
Okay, no problem. Here we go. All right, so pull that up right here. And you don't have to cue your origin story to any of this art, because I can tell you it's just awesome. I mean, there's too much good art here.
Thank you. Off the cuff, this is one of my only fan art pieces. I prefer OG stuff, but Ripley, come on.
Mm-hmm.
Ripley. Had to do her. Where did I start? I studied art in school, and but I also then went into fashion for a while. So I think people will pick that up from my work pretty quickly. You did, Jill. I was always, the reason I eventually went into art was because I was always the kid watching other kids make art, and I was just fascinated that usually older kids could sit there and they could create something out of nothing. And I was stuck with these coloring books where we're just kind of filling in the lines. So I would watch older neighbors and friends, and I just thought that's what they do, and it relaxes me, but I don't do it. And then I got to high school, skip ahead 10 years really. I got to high school and I was allowed to drop gym. And
I have such a funny story that goes along with that, but keep on going.
I think a lot of artists do. I'm athletic, but I just hate being forced to do sports. So I was allowed to then take music, which I had studied for many years, and art. And I was really good. I really excelled. I understood all of the art theory. I could relate it to music theory as well. And I was just encouraged to veer off into the arts. Now I did take a break in fashion and a couple other things, but I had one of those, they call them the quarter life crisis or whatever you have.
Quarter life crisis.
And I was like, what do I really want to do? What do I hate doing? Everything I've been doing for the last 5 years. What do I love doing? I like to draw.
Yeah.
And everything you're seeing here has probably from I think what really had me take off after that decision was going digital. And I was one of those people that was like, no, 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 no. I like to eat the ink. But I had to downsize from where I was living, and I just didn't have the studio space anymore. Got an iPad, did use Clip Studio and Procreate, and just everything just really took off. And you're mentioning my color work too in the pre-show, and I thought I was strictly a black and white artist forever. This kind of stuff that you're seeing right now, I thought would be the most kind of rendered and modeled I would get. I thought I was a flat black and white comic artist, but
but then you do stuff like this.
Yeah, I just love color. I know people say, oh, color takes me a long time. It takes me a long time to find my footing, and then it comes out very emotionally. I have no fear with the color, and digital is definitely the reason for that. Yeah. I take everything back that I ever said about my digital artist friends like 5 years ago. I take it all back.
Hey, well, I have to say it's evolved, and it's just great to hear your story in terms of just watching other artists create, and that was your impetus to like say, hey, you know what, I want to create too. And I really just looked at your artwork, and I wanted to say, when I first saw your piece, is very organic, but there was an architectural quality, there's a fashion quality, and then I see this, which is like, we go from organic to these hard angled lines, but it still feels like a Katie piece. And these are the fashion things that you were talking about. So I see all of those things in there, and your color theory. And I'm just so glad that you've decided not to just limit yourself to just doing black and white, because your expression in color is just phenomenal.
Well, what I'm trying to do now is actually get down to a process where I can work in black and white and grayscale for composition, for all those kind of like the broad strokes of what makes something beautiful, and then get in there and start applying the color as a second process without that, so I can differentiate the two parts of my brain without separating them too much, because right now I'm either painting or drawing, I feel. So getting to that middle ground is my current goal.
Oh, well, I think you're there. I don't think you have to worry about being a goal. But I just wanted to show this too, because I think this is a really good example of just all the things. I think the only thing that's missing from this is probably the fashion part of it, unless you want to say that maybe that frog, I think that's a frog, unless he's wearing something special underneath there at the bottom. But this is like, it has architecture, it has the organic nature side of it, it has that excellent color theory, and just like I said, the only thing that's missing is that little bit of that fashion statement. But it's just incredible. It's really, really cool artwork, and I'm just so ecstatic to have you to talk about that. And let's talk a little bit about your contribution to the Raid Anthology 4, Volume 4 project, which was successfully funded this past week. And we're going to save that bit of that story for a little bit later on. But your contributions, is it like a 5 to 6 page story, I believe?
I think I just opened the speaking back real quick before we did this. I think it's 8 pages, but there's a lot of static. There's a bit of static pages at the front, like a big splash page, this title page. So it really is, I would say, like a 6-page story. And I think that's how I wrote it. And then I was given extra pages, so I took those beats to breathe. Yeah,
and that's the thing I want to talk about too, is that you wrote this. So you're jumping in. Well, I don't know. Do you have you? Is this the first time you've been writing, or have you always? I mean, this is your IP. But I take it. But do you do writing too, or is it just?
I do. I do a lot of writing. In my day job, I do, like, this is sometimes my day job. Right now, this is not my day job, but I'm in video games, and I do a lot of the art. But I also do narrative design and scripting and things like that. So I write all the time. It's really nice to do something like this where you've got like that beginning, middle, and end. This nice little compact. Short story.
Yes.
I wrote this. I conceived of this just from the first phrase of "It's been 3 days since I saw Jarma," and that was years ago. I've actually almost completed penciling on this 3 times from
What?
white, different scripts. Every
Uh-huh.
shot's different. All of the background, everything changed except basically the script, like the lines, like the actual lines in the script.
The dialogue. Yeah, the dialogue.
Sorry, the
yeah.
dialogue. Thank you.
Right.
Sunday.
It's okay. But that just goes to show this has been a constant refinement for you. Like
it has. And when they offered, when I think it was Ramon or Kyle Smith at the studio, one of them, I was visiting the studio and they mentioned, oh, do you want to be in the anthology? And I was like, yes. And I knew immediately that I was finally going to do this. And I was going to do this with no strings attached. Like, this is just, we do these projects in the anthologies and they are truly ours. And we get peer feedback. Like, I didn't quite understand that transition, or, could you pull back on these colors here? But we're not really critiquing anyone's impetus for writing these stories. So the stuff you see in this anthology really comes from us.
Okay. Well, we're going to save that little bit, because that refinement sounds like it was, once you came to Raid, there's where you I'm going to say it's like another milestone in terms of like your storytelling and your art. You did it to another level. And I think I think that's an excellent, pause point, for your origin story. We can go into talking, bringing in a repeat guest that we've got here, Andy Dorland. Yeah, we can talk about your origin story, and then we're gonna I use this analogy when we have multiple guests here. It's gonna be like, with your powers combined, you're each parts of Voltron, and we're gonna put you all together, and we're gonna talk about how you all came together to do the anthology. So put a pause on Katie here, and let's go to Andy and talk about your origin story. So let me switch gears here, and I'm gonna show the brilliant artwork of also Mr. Dorland here. So the mic is now in your hands. Let's hear your origin story while I just show some of your wonderful art here in the background.
Okay, sure. I was very similar to Katie in the anti-digital front for a long time. And then I was like, I don't know why. I don't know what's like happening. Actually, when I was in grade 6, I dug up this thing that I had the vision way back. In grade 6, I had some like journal thing that I wrote, what you're going to be when you grow up. And I actually wrote I wrote comic book artist, but I said, but it's going to be in the future, so no one's going to draw on paper anymore. It's going to be like on like screens and stuff. I should have invested.
Wow.
You were telling the future, the soothsayer here.
Digital prophet.
It just made sense, really, if you thought about it.
It did.
Still, I was like, that's my thing. But I didn't. It was a longer road for me. Like, I did a lot of different stuff. I was always drawing the whole time. But I went to business school, actually. I was a stockbroker for a little while. And then I was always drawing. And then I went and I worked in the woods in northern Ontario, in Canada, like doing crazy, cutting down trees with an axe.
Lumberjack artist, right?
Lumberjack kind of stuff. Straight up, yeah. But the funny thing was, like, even I remember I was in this really small town that had a mailbox, and I was doing like one of the correspondence courses at school. And so I'd be like drawing in the cabin at night. And I'd be like, hold on, drop me off at the mailbox on the way, because I got to like nail in some stuff to keep working. So so I was always doing that. And I got kind of my start, I guess, like something actually hiring. I did some children's books and stuff. Would be my very beginning.
That sounds
kind of stuff.
It's
like once you get, they're not very good. Don't look them up. But they but it was a paycheck. It was a paycheck at the beginning, So
I was gonna say that was where you cutting your teeth in storytelling, doing those children's books first. So
they're pretty bad.
Well, I want to say that looking at your art, and you and Sam were both guests a little bit a year and a half, I guess, ago. Here on Let It Out, and I this was the PDF I put together of some of your earlier art, and it just refreshed my memory and continued to, I guess, reblow my mind in terms of like just looking at your artwork, because it's such rich positive negatives, utilization. There's such it's very organic. I don't know, yeah, especially this piece right here, and this is when we were joking about doing our pre-show, is like whatever happened to Game of Thrones, that's sort of like self-destructed at the end. But back in its middle seasons, it was just phenomenal. And when I saw this piece, it was such rich with textures, and there was just a narrative that you could just see based on your illustration here. It was very organic, and yeah. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, I was just gonna say I like a lot of people in the studio, and I like played D&D, and I like D&D growing up. I was just gonna say, just side note on Game of Thrones, I think it was a genius move of how to get like D&D people all of a sudden sucked into like D&D. I don't think they realized like by the end, like, oh, I'm watching D&D, but I didn't know. Like, I thought it was like completely
yeah, those were
like, oh, nerds only play D&D. You don't realize that you just watch how many hours of D&D you just watch.
I know, that is so true. It turned a lot of D&D haters into believers, because they were like, it's like that unbeknownst to them, they became big fantasy nerds, and and I think your art is just helping open the eyes to those naysayers. But you also do stuff like this. Transformers. I mean, if you're like me, grew up in the 80s, just love that whole franchise. I mean, Death of Optimus Prime. I mean, did you cry? I mean, that was just that was just me.
Yeah, my brother did. Yeah.
right. But it's just so cool. I just love your stuff. I mean, we have here I think this is the Guyver, right? Is this correct?
Yeah. I'm just realizing so much.
Yeah. I mean, who doesn't love monsters? And we're going to talk a little bit about your evolution. Well, I mean, you have interest in both fantasy, and let's show some of the new artwork that we didn't have, or that we've had. I mean, that you've done since the last show. One of the things that I really was what I was really impressed about what you and Sam were doing with Ballyskillin, which is your IPOC, was that you were experimenting with augmented reality. And we just talked about how you were being a prophet, and you were going to say, hey, we're not going to be drawing on pencil and paper in the future. We still are, but digital has definitely taken over in certain aspects of creativity. But you're also exploring NFTs, and these are examples of some of the NFTs that you've done. Is this correct?
Yeah, these are like profile pic NFTs that I did and different things like that. Yeah, we won't get too far into it, but we can show some examples. Like, just as far as the tech side of things, I am a pretty big tech head. Like, I made the app about Ballyskillin with the augmented reality, and then even when it comes to the NFT stuff, I actually write the smart contracts myself for the stuff. So it's not. I don't think it's not a common. It's a weird hybrid of like being a bit of a programmer, tech guy, but also drawing. So yeah,
well,
so these are like.
Yeah, keep going. Yep.
I was just gonna say, yeah, these are just fun, like the Universal Monsters kind of cartoony riffs. As far as my art goes, you'll see some of my earlier stuff. I'm like a lot of other artists. I'm like trying to make a conscious choice to dial back amount of lines more recently. Until you get to the tech stuff, depends on what I'm doing, but just setting some limitations on yourself going into a piece might just help. I'm just exploring all the time.
The next step in your career in terms of like, or your style, But you know what I've noticed though too, you may be doing fewer lines, but your color, which has always been really strong, it's maybe you're not doing the lines for certain color areas. You're basically just using the color to help express where lines would be. At least that's what I'm noticing.
That's especially when I'm gonna color my own stuff. Like this stuff's way more open. It's just, I don't know, just having fun with stuff, really. Just trying to keep it simple.
Yeah, I just say that when I look at your artwork, it's just like I'm ready for just the Ballyskillin cartoon or some sort of animated thing. And that being said, I think it'd be a good idea. Let me share. I got a little bit unprepared here. Let me stop sharing the screen, and I want to share some of the illustrations that you actually animated. And let me get that ready to go. So. Hold on one moment. You think that I would be an expert at doing this?
Yeah, while you pull it out, I'll chat about, like, I use TV Paint a lot. It's a program that I'll do a plug for BB Paint.
Uh-huh.
It's an awesome program because it matches like traditional old school animation is what they're trying to do.
Uh-huh.
So like it's all raster, and there's no like I don't know, I'm not against it, but I'm not a huge fan of like tube animation or whatever you want to call it.
So you'd rather do vector? Is that what you're saying versus raster?
No. I like raster. Like,
Oh, you like raster?
Like TV Paint actually has like traditional peg hole. Like you
Uh-huh.
could draw on paper and scan it in, and it does like auto matching. So you could do everything super old school, but then have like the, new tech to color and stuff, and getting into animation stuff. But it's like, and then you can do all the adjustments and everything inside the program. So it's just built to emulate old school, like Disney, like 2D, that kind of style. So
Well, I'm eating it up. Whatever, if it's raster or vector, just check this out. This is amazing stuff. So here we go. Hopefully the audio will play, but let's go for it. Oh yeah, I was just amazed about it. Did the audio come through? I don't know if it did or not.
Yeah, it came through on my end anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that was just amazing stuff. I could see that being used for like a video game too. I mean, it's just incredible.
That is for like some concept stuff for a video game for like the menu screen. So yeah.
Yeah, just amazing stuff. Let me get back your PDF. Hold on one moment, and let's pull this back up real quick. And I believe you mentioned that this particular piece was going to be like a token that was going to be used to getting access to like something special that you're planning in the future.
So like in the background, I'm kind of slowly, when I get free time, whenever that is, to try to build out like kind of like an online. It'd be like Comicsology, I guess, but like for my IPs and different stuff. I'm seeing if it's going to work or not. But the idea of this would be like a token that would give you access to read all the comics, and if you brought in other people, it'd be fine. But this would be like an NFT, and then if you own this token, and then it's gonna make like adjustments so they're not all the same, but yeah, they would give you access into the website that you could read the comics, and then you have access forever, and then as long as stuff's updating, but then you can sell the token, so it becomes like how do you make value on that token. But it's just like just like if you're going to Comicsology, but the access is controlled by if you own this NFT or not. But,
okay, we're gonna save that. I want that to be a little bit of a preview because in the future, Comics Cast we're gonna put together a let's say a cabal, a consortium, a team of indie creators that are experimenting with NFTs, and to see how that can be a way for them to capitalize on this new technology to sell their art and to make it an interactive experience and things like that. I just want everybody to know that this is something that Andy is doing, and it's just really cool to see how you're taking that aspect of this new budding technology and making it so that it can be used in conjunction with your art. But like we were talking about your fantasy art here, another project that you have coming in the future, and it's nice to see you do science fiction as well. So maybe you're going to convert a lot of those Dungeons and Dragons naysayers into sci-fi nerds as well. Do you want to talk a little bit about this piece as well, or?
Sure. So this is more like concept stuff for an online game that I'm working with a company in California. But so it's also an NFT game. But the spaceship and then all the stuff changes on the ship. So this is like the main design, and then all the engines and different stuff all change in the color and different stuff like that. But I was just leading into more like just the super techy stuff. I kind of honestly got lost in myself on this one. I just like detail when I'm getting into ships and stuff. It's fun. Lose track of time a little bit, but this is like tech stuff's nice. It's just shapes. Like if someone else is struggling with any tech stuff, it's just like add fun shapes, and if they're in the right spot, then it's all good.
Oh, you make it sound like it's so easy. It's just shapes, whatever. It's like not everybody can just put shapes together and make something like this. And it has a, and this is the thing, it has a I'm going to quote, I guess, is it George Lucas when he was doing Star Wars? It was one of the things that New Hope is that his science fiction was it was lived in. It felt grungy, it felt dirty, it felt like it was used and it actually existed in a used capacity. And that's what I like about this. It's like the the artwork, I mean, your textures, they're not just pristine 3D models. You know, they feel, or
Right.
you know, they feel like they've gone through space, you know, and been burned and scarred and things like that. And it's just really neat to see, you know, you translate that. And I know we're touching on the science fiction, but I wanted to like show a few pages from Ballyskillin, which is what we featured last time you were on the show. And this is the evolution in your style that we talked about. You know, there is more line work here, but it's the color theory is exceptional, and I don't mind the amount of lines here, but I can understand less is more, depending on what kind of feel that you're going for. But these pieces right here, I'm only going to show a couple pages because I want people.
That one's a Sharon one, but that's
oh, this is Shane Heron. Okay, but this. Yeah. Okay. Well, this piece. Okay. This is you, though, right? Is this?
Yeah, that's me. Yeah.
Okay. This was one of the things that really grabbed me in terms of this. I found it was like Where's Waldo, like looking at a Where's Waldo type thing. I found myself zooming into like every aspect, every corner of this illustration just to see what you had drawn, and what could easily be done, because you know I'm going to say you're like this is like a lot of hyper detail that you put in here, is that your choice of how to arrange the composition and the color palette that you used, it allowed you to put all that detail, but not to muddy it up or lose its emotional impact, because it's a very emotionally charged scene. But just your choice. I mean, did you color this, or did somebody else color this?
I colored this too. Like, I knew going into this I could get away with going crazy on it, because I was gonna separate it with like a simple like tone. You know what I mean? Like, because he's like a bluer. It just pops out from the rest of the image.
It does.
Knowing that going in, it was planned out, I guess. So. Yeah,
and again, it's a pretty brutal scene, and you know, I was like, oh my gosh, all those poor animals too. They're victims as well. But it's one of those things, is that when you see art like this, you want art. You know, art can be like the MCU. It can be like one of those just instant gratification, like Marvel movie type things, where but you also want to have that emotional impact too. If you can build that narrative into it. And when I see this piece, that's definitely an example of that. Just some really cool things. So let me zoom out here a little bit. All right, so you know, these are other things from if you can get Ballyskillin, I believe that's available on. Is it on your personal website, or is it on the Raid site?
Yeah, you can go to ours, but there's a link on there too. But you can grab it through the Raid store. Raid.
All right. And then the Anthology, you actually have Anthology 4. You actually put together like a kind of a prequel, right? It was like a 6-page story that's a prequel to.
Me and Sam actually did that before we did Ballyskillin, but it's like it fits into the world. So it's like a prequel with different characters, but it links in, and we have plans to link them together in the future, I think. So, but yeah, it's definitely in the same world. And the stuff kind of links up. And there's some. I don't want to spoil too much, but there's some fun stuff we're gonna do with like time and stuff coming up. Yeah,
that's right. You have to buy.
Yeah, if you read
you have to buy Ballyskillin. Yeah. Get the Anthology, get Ballyskillin, see how they connect, because it's going to be like the Mandalorian is to like Star Wars, right? It's going to like plug together.
That's a good way.
Tie together. That's my Star Wars nerd. I had to put everything in Star Wars terms to relate to life in the world. But that being said, I think this is a really good point where we can actually go to the man himself, the guy that actually put me in connection with all of these wonderful creators at Raid Studios, and that is Mr. Sam Noir. Sam, I'm going to put the mic in your hand. I want to hear your origin story, because I've only heard like bits and pieces of it. I think you've become legend. You know, I think in my mind, I have so many ideas of what you do. You know, at Raid Studios, you wear many hats. I'm going to say that you're a talented artist in your own right, and we're going to like show some art here. But you're a writer, and then I'm going to say this, and I know you're going to fight me for it, but I'm going to say you're a Kickstarter crowdfunding guru. And I think that you probably said
I'm a consultant. I like to
consultant.
help
Okay.
people with their
Okay.
crowdfunding campaigns, but
Okay.
yeah, I'm going to resist that
All
guru
right.
tag.
I like to give you lots of
Unless you're
compliments.
Mike Mignola, don't call me to run your Kickstarter campaigns. I'm kind of busy right now.
All right. You're wanted. You're a wanted
uh,
man. But hey, okay, I'm going to shut up right now.
I'm a consultant,
yes,
and I'm working with a lot of very talented people.
Okay. I'm going to show a lot of art here because the first part of it is maybe showing just, your own personal art that you've done. But I'm also going to show a lot of the where you've operated in a different capacity, where you've been the writer, a consultant. I want to show the many hats that Sam Noir wears. So let's I'm going to put the mic in your hand and let's hear a little bit about who you are. So Sam, give us the lowdown.
Okay, my origin story is essentially I've been kind of a lifelong fan of comics, and kind of as a fan, I've been hanging out in the Toronto comic scene since I was 10 or 11, going to conventions, hitting up all the comic stores and things like that. And yeah, I actually never considered just as an Asian family thing. Comics was never. I don't know if you can relate, Gerald, but comics was never considered a career, a realistic career. Art in general, not considered a realistic career, to the point where I did go to Queens. I've got a fine art degree, I've got a film degree, I've got a art history degree, but it was never really thought of that you can make a living. So I ended up working in the corporate world. For years and years. Although as a fan, I was still in and amongst the Toronto community. And in fact, I didn't realize this at the time, but I was kind of, I had front row seats for a real movement in comics at the time. On the Warren Ellis Forum, there was a bunch of us from Toronto that would hang out and get drinks. And this real social scene sprung up around an individual from the Warren Ellis Forum named Chris Butcher, who, in my mind, started up a little indie comic show in a church. This indie comic show, of course, would grow to become the international mecca of comic books called the Toronto Comics Arts Festival, TCAF. And at the time, even before Chris started doing TCAF, he had a lot of creators that sort of surrounded him socially. So I'd go out for drinks, and there'd be a strange gentleman by the name of Zdarsky there with his indie comic Prison Funnies, which is just insane. It's likely hard to find. It's leave his first comics work, but I do recommend. Prison Funnies was all sorts of fun, but Butcher was also roommates with a gentleman named Brian Lee O'Malley, who would eventually create Scott Pilgrim. Other guys like Keen Sue, who was doing Jalabi at the time, and Flight. Eric Kim, who's another local Toronto artist. So I didn't realize this at the time, but it was just social. But a lot of these folks have gone on to do really amazing things. And still, I didn't consider comics to be a real career. I had my corporate, I was young, I was in my 20s. I had my corporate career until one day, just for fun, there was a gentleman who I always admired when I was wandering around these conventions. His name is Templeton. And I discovered at a very young age him at a convention with a comic called Stig's Inferno, an indie comic that was published locally, that did have distribution in comic book stores across America. But he just like those old Mad Magazine paperbacks.
Yes,
and later on, Harvey Kurtzman, Wally Wood sort of era of Mad Magazine. And he would go on. He'd go on to do the Batman Adventures comic that everybody loved back in the 90s. And so as an adult, he was teaching, I discovered he was teaching courses. I probably picked up a flyer at the convention, and I thought, you know what, this might be fun. I really like this creator. He's always been nice to me when I was a little kid at convention. So I took this course with Ty Templeton, his comic book boot camp course. And at the time, actually, there were a lot of other local comics creators teaching in this school called, what was it? The Toronto Cartoonist Workshop. So I ended up, there was a course by Leonard Kirk about doing dynamic page layout, et cetera, et cetera. Dave Ross was teaching there, best known probably from his Daredevil Marvel Run. Yeah, lots of local creators who I had sort of grown up with, seeing conventions were teaching here. And this ended up being a real life-altering thing, because I'd come home and I'd be happy rather than miserable in my corporate job. And when the opportunity came, a few of my fellow classmates said, "We're starting a studio." I kind of ran away and joined the circus, I guess.
There you go.
I was feeling the sense of joy I didn't in my day job with this, I guess, little hobby of creating comics that I had picked up. And the other thing was, Ty was leaving the Toronto Comics Workshop at the time and moved in with us. So we had a studio called Comic Book Embassy on Spadina Avenue with Ty teaching classes in the front room. And just, it was this astonishing, amazing experience for me to just be working alongside all these amazing the early folks that were part of Comic Book Embassy include Megan Kearney, I think, who has done Disney Princess comics. She was best known for Beauty and the Beast web comic. Bryce Hall, who's gone on to be, actually Bryce Hall kind of took over Chip Zdarsky's job at the local newspaper, the National Post, doing illustration. So that's where our friend Bryce is now. Sonia Anwar, who is doing amazing things over at DC and cover art for various companies as well. So yeah, no, it was a real exciting time. And at a certain point, I moved to the suburbs and had to leave the studio and just sort of, it was, there was a certain, I really missed it, to be honest. You know, creating is such a solitary thing, and the energy of being in a studio ignited me. Well, actually, I should back up a little bit as well to your point, in that I had, my intention was always to write and draw my own stuff, but being at Comic Book Embassy and having all these other students come in and out of Ty's class, I started, it was Bryce actually, who one day just said, "Hey, would you be able to help me write my second issue of my comic?" And I was like, "Oh, sure." And then one thing led to another, and I became much more of a writer, which I think is kind of, it suits my disposition better. Rather than drawing my own comics. I still like drawing my own stuff. I still like drawing, but at the end of the day, I ended up in a situation where I was feeding like 8 or 9 different artists at any given time through this extended community I discovered through Ty Templeton's comic book boot camp.
I'm gonna say that you are like the Kevin Bacon of the Toronto comic community. It's like 6 degrees of separation. People know Sam Noir through all these other successful artists and writers, and then you basically been able to touch a lot of different IPs and a lot of creative projects. And it's amazing that you found your way to come up with different hats to wear and basically make your talents shine in different genres. So just really incredible story. So now that you've done this writing, so let's talk about how you moved from this. I showed a lot of pieces here, how you came to Raid. Like what is that story in terms of what brought you to those hollowed halls?
Okay. So again, you were breaking up a little there. We have bad cottage country Wi-Fi, but I'm assuming you just asked how I got to Raid.
Yes.
And essentially,
Yes.
I was working in the suburbs, feeling very isolated after working in a studio for years and years. And my good friend Shane Heron, who I partner on a magazine called Cauldron, along with two other gentlemen named Ricky Lima and Casey Parsons. Shane just said, you know what? How about you transit into the city and work out of Raid? I'll vouch for you. You know a few of the other guys at Raid who will vouch for you and joining the studio. So I made a decision to make a change in my life and go back to the energy and creative environment of a studio. A little over 2 years ago now. And of course, I arrive at Raid, and it's a very intimidating experience. You can't help but have imposter syndrome, because you do have little, Eisner and Harvey Award winners wandering the halls there. But the thing that made it actually kind of cool for me was I wasn't the only new guy there. There was a gentleman by the name of Andy Dorland, who I understand literally stepped off a plane and went straight to Raid Studios when he landed from his extended overseas living in Ireland. So it was really actually to have another sort of quote unquote new guy. And to be honest, we have a whole bunch of an influx of new people coming into the studio. But I don't know about Andrew. I still have just pandemic time, right? I still have trouble not thinking of myself as a new guy at the studio. But yeah, the thing is, we both arrived in and around the same time, and then COVID hit within weeks.
know! That's what I was going to say.
15, 16 people in the studio at any given time, coming out during the day. And then, the lockdown happened, and the studio just emptied out. And to the point where it was the creative director, Raid, Ramon Perez, who was coming in every day still, and Andrew and myself, the two new guys, which is an odd situation. Close to a year, I think it was just kind of the three of us coming in. But in that time, we just sort of got to talking, and Andrew had an awesome. He wanted to work on things that were Irish mythology based. So the other thing being, you just want to try different things. So we did a short together, which we were going to give to the Raid Anthology. And being the new guys, we didn't want to presume, right? So we just went ahead, I guess, and can see if my memory is functioning all right. But we just went ahead with a fantasy story that we just hand over to them. And say, you know what? No pressure. We know we're the new guys, but if you need an extra story, and you always do, here it is. And I don't know, Andrew, at what point? Like, I don't even think there was a formal acceptance. At one point, I think we just dropped it into the behind the scenes file folder that we have.
We just got lucky because of COVID, they pushed everything back. So we got into the net because we were too late on the first one, technically.
I'm going to say you guys are too humble, because I think we were joking around about this with Sam yesterday in the pre-show. It's like you guys go, hey, I'm going to come to like Raid Studios. And it's like you walk into the doors and like everybody's gone. So it's sort of like it's like you're the new guys, and it's like walking into we were using the comparison. It's like walking into Avengers Tower, and all the Avengers are out fighting the Skrulls. And it's you guys there that have to like run Avengers, headquarters, and you come together and you put together Ballyskillen, right? That's what we're talking about. Is like Andy has come up straight off the plane from Ireland, has this idea, comes to you, and let's work on this together. And you guys are now the current new team of Avengers there at Raid Studios, and you have to like rise to the occasion. Is that kind of like what kind of experience that you had when you walked in there?
Again, you're assuming that you're asking our experience. Arriving there, and it was essentially, I think we dropped it in sort of the folder, and at some point, they just accepted that it was going to be in the anthology. We kind of just like snuck in like thieves in the night, dropped the story in there. And because it was the first one finished out of all of them, I guess they always just sort of assumed that, oh, this is going in the anthology, as opposed to us saying, if you guys need it, if you guys need, so yeah, we kind of lucked out in that, but there was some real chemistry I felt going on in the creation of it. It was much better in his hands than in my head, because often I write in a manner that, okay, this, what would I draw? How would I draw this? But the real joy of this is seeing someone as detailed and wonderful and expressive as Andrew interpret that. And then he after that, again, correct me if I'm misremembering, Andrew, you showed me your Ballyskillen pitch. It was called Emerald Nights at the time, about a hidden fairy community. And so we were kind of off to the races after that little trial 8-page story that's finally seeing print.
I was just going to say, it's almost like a good tip for up and coming artists. Is that even if you're not the best, if you have it done, that's a big deal. You know what I mean?
It is a big deal.
Stuff done is probably more than anything. So just get it done.
Well, you have to have something to publish, and fortunately, it wasn't done. It was just done. It was also just really, really good, and I'm so happy that it actually saw the light of day. Now, I think this is the thing that is going to be kind of funny too. We heard about how Sam and Andy came to Raid. Katie, I'd like to hear your story, how you came to Raid. I think I'm going to put the mic in your hand. Let's hear your story too.
Okay, well, I had popped in to use the bathroom one day, and I had my portfolio with me. And I happened to be wearing a shirt that said "Artist for Hire." And the whole thing just sparked up some conversation. He kicked me out. But
don't come to Raid to use the studio of bathrooms out there. Ramon, Katie exception.
Yes, Katie was the exception.
I actually no. I don't know if Sam, you even know this. I was introduced to Calman, who's a member of the studio as well. I think before. I don't know how long he's been a member of Raid, but he is an old friend of one of my, actually my ex-boyfriend. So you know my ex-boyfriend. He took me. So I was wanting to change careers, and he was like, "Well, I know a guy."
Is this the College Street location, by the way, Katie?
Yeah, at the time it would have been the College Street location, but we met up in the annex somewhere for a drink. And Calman. It was like, we'll talk to Calman, see what it's like doing this and what his path was and what his daily experiences. And I don't know if we talked about much about that, but we did have some pints. That's my people. And so I started working on and after that I'm always there. I don't know, like I always have a good friend that's in the studio. So I pop in, I take a look. I'm excited by the current space. I used to live up the street. Just before COVID. I moved further to the downtown core, but I would pop in all the time. It's like proximity that. I love also like you were speaking of Chip. Chip's one of my good friends from high school. So so Chip's in and out. We don't even call him Chip.
What do you call him?
Steve.
Steven. Oh.
Stephen Murray of the National Post, the renowned. Was it Bad Advice that is his column?
Yeah, that sounds right. Post? Yeah. So it's just every time I turn around, I have a connection to these guys at the studio.
Yes.
But it's not just professional, it's always gone deeper than that. So I'm making some life changes right now, actually. So I may be joining as a member. We're just trying to make this really work with this official relationship.
Let's do it, Katie.
You heard it here first.
You did.
in terms of Katie, because this is the thing I love about Raid is that I've come to know not only the Raid Studio members, but it's the extended family. It's the relationships. It's the professionals that are just associated with the other professionals that are at Raid Studios, and that family keeps on growing because of the creativity and the love, for the industry and creation is infectious. And I mean that in a positive way, not in a COVID way. But it's just great to hear that Katie, you may be taking that step, to join Raid Studios.
Well, I used to think, speaking of COVID, I was like, listen, I've freelanced from my house for years, no big deal. I'll just, COVID's no big deal for me. I think I hit a breaking point a few months ago where I was like, I'm craving a studio environment. I don't crave an office environment. I've done that just like you guys, and I hate it. But that studio, there's a spark there that reminds me of being in school, where there's possibilities at a studio, and there's a lot of creativity flying around, and
just gotta catch it.
You just gotta catch it. Like, catch it. Or like,
yeah, if you look at Andy, there's creativity all around him. You just got to catch it. It's like,
oh my God, the technology he brings to this, like NFTs, the augmented reality.
Well, I didn't know that about Andy until we started doing this today. So Andy, we have a lot of tech conversations to happen.
Yes.
This.
Yes, there we go. Oh, I love that. I'm witnessing this connection that's gonna happen. Here. But I think this is let's do some more connection here, because I think we're approaching our the first hour, closing on the first hour, and I want to get to this next segment, which is the live drawing part of the show, and this is where we're going to actually see some of the magic happen. And Katie, since you're was the last person talking, let's revisit. I'm going to pull up this PDF, and your IPOC is going to be the first subject of our live drawing challenge. So let me pull that up right now. And if you look here, this is Jarma. So Jarma is a part of the Raid Anthology 4, Volume 4, that just got funded. And I just want to let everybody know that you don't have to be sad, because even though you missed the Kickstarter, it's going to be available for pre-order on the Raid Press site. Is that correct, Sam?
Yeah, raidpress.com. If you want to go pre-order, it won't be the signed, numbered, stamped limited edition that was available on Kickstarter. But yeah, if you just want the book or the digital, head over to raidpress.com, and there should be a pre-order page available.
Great. So we're going to revisit that, talk about that a little bit more after we complete the live drawings. But I just want to show this too. This is the character Jarma. And I have to say that she is the epitome of, I think, the artistic journey that Katie's been on. She's a conjunction of, a culmination of all these things, like the life drawing, the fashion, and their story has like all these really cool architectural elements that are in there as well. And it's just hypnotic. And when I say hypnotic, is because these crazy lines, that we see here, this pattern that just forms a contour around her body. So I want, if you're going to draw to our audience, if you're not familiar with our live drawing, we're going to do 15 minutes doing this particular Katie's OC, which is Jarma. And if you're going to live draw with us, please do a screen capture. Here's a body shot here. We'll leave that on there for a few seconds. And then we have this, which is just the shadow obscuring parts of her body just makes it even more interesting when I look at this piece. And your color choice is just really, really, really neat. It has a very trippy effect to it. But I really, really like this piece. So here's another piece to look at. And then I'm going to, if you want to screen capture this, we're going to draw along with us. And then we go show this. And this is a close-up of her face. And loaded with you look at her expression and you're like really wondering what is she thinking here. And we're gonna get inside the artist mind as we draw along here. So Katie, we're gonna do a little bit of you're doing a little bit of drawing and talking at the same time. And right now, let me go ahead and pop up one comment here because I want to give some props to Katie here. We have Maverick, who stayed up in the Philippines. I think it's like 3 a.m. over there, and he wanted to say that's some impressive color work right there. So I'm 100% in agreement here. So Andy, okay. Oh well, he has some client work, but at least he stayed up just to watch this part of it. So so Andy and I are going to be taking a crack at this, as well as Katie. And just like all of our past live drawings, if you're in the audience and you want to draw along with us, let me know in the comments and then post to our sister page, which is the Art Show on Facebook. So do those 2 things, or 3 things. Draw along with us, let me know in the comments, and then post it to the Art Show on Facebook. Okay, so the 15-minute clock will start now. And I'm going to put the mic in. Let me add actually the art cams right now. Let's put this art cam up and this art cam up. And right now we'll leave it on Katie's, so we can, since it is her OC, we'll make that really big. And then Andy, you just draw along, and then I'll just add mine as a surprise a little later on. And Sam, I'm just gonna, since you're the non-drawing guest here, but like I said, you're Kevin Bacon. You have connections to everybody here. I would like you to maybe help me out here, because I'm gonna put my head down. I'm gonna try and draw too. But
no worries.
We'll let the conversation and the draw and talk part of this form organically. So let me start out with, we'll start with one question here to Katie as we start our drawing. 15 minutes starting right now. The question that we're going to start now with is Katie, let's go into a non-spoilerly type of narrative hook in terms of why I would want to check out this really trippy, just really cool looking character that you come up with. And the clock stops now. Okay.
So the theme of this is regret. And I think a lot of the theme of the story in the Raid Anthology is regret. And a lot of there's a lot of emotions surrounding that. There's a lot of storytelling that I think doesn't happen as an aftermath to regret. I think we often get a lead up to it. So what I was trying to explore is how do you cope after you have clearly made the wrong choice? And the person that's coping the most is the husband of Jarma, who remains nameless. And he has to come to terms with a disagreement they've had and the outcome of that. And it's just, I think that I've explored it in an atmospheric way. And I think that there's a lot of environmental storytelling and implied action. And I was really happy. That was my aim for this. So that's why it took me so many times to write it, because and draw it. I needed to hit the right note each time. And you can't have any, when you're going for subtlety and not exactly misdirection or anything, but you can't really, you can't leave room for error, for misinterpretation. So everything I did was very deliberate. Everything I always do is very deliberate.
You don't do anything halfway. It has to be
that's actually, let's talk about my, my worst flaw, which is that as well. If I can't do it perfectly, I'm not going to do it. You should check it out though, because it is intensely sci-fi. I have been given absolute free reign on what it is that I get to talk about, and it. I thought it was going to be too depressing for the post-pandemic anthology, but it turns out it's just the right amount.
It does speak in a certain metaphorical sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Let's just say that it's appropriate for the times. It's like it was meant. The story, even though it's been 3 years in the making, it's very relevant and appropriate for the time. Is that what you'd like to say? Maybe
exactly. It definitely. I think part of its mutation is the result of going through the pandemic and then coming out the other end, and then being asked to be joyous and creative about a story that I actually was not sure was joyous at all. But I think that I actually think this is this sappy? The joy in this story is me having made it. the creation of it was very joyful. So I don't think it's going to come across as something too.
I'm going to tell you my definition of joy doesn't necessarily mean what I think everybody like enjoy. Enjoy is different from joy. I think joy, to me, it's almost like in my faith, joy is like we have to find the joy in even the trials in our lives, right? It's kind of like whatever it falls back on, like whatever doesn't kill us will make us stronger. It's because we find the positive in the negative. That's what I'm kind of like getting that vibe. Is that what you're kind of like going with this? And that it's finding the joy and experience. It's something that's it could be considered tragic, but it's finding strength in it as well, right?
That's what it is. Yeah. And I also exactly. And I also think that what I really wanted to be asking with this story is, what would you do? What would you do? There's it's like a Sophie's choice. Yeah. But not for Sophie. Not for Sarah. The Sophie here is the husband. And the choice is literally kind of a Sophie's choice. So I don't. It's hard to talk about it because I also often separate myself once something's out and gone. I'm kind of be like you were showing my artwork, and it's very interesting because I'm looking at it as if I've never seen it before. That goes my.
It's been purged. In the creation, you've purged it from your system.
Yeah. And
you're onto your next experience,
I think that's what I do quite a bit. So it's kind of fun to be revisiting all this stuff right now, to be taking a look back, because I rarely do. Actually, that's why I think I agreed to do interviews, podcasts, and talk. I like to be self-reflective, but you don't get the time for that, especially in professional freelance art.
Right. Got to get to the next turn on the next project, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think the person that should be a great freelance artist is that viewer of yours, and it's 2 a.m. right now, and he's got half the skills down to be a professional artist. Just always be working and always be doing.
Yeah, he definitely has that mindset. But I think that when we look at your art and what you're going to do, I guess we don't want to go into spoiler territory in terms of like what kind of challenge that Sophie's choice challenge that she has to do with her husband. Maybe we can talk about the aesthetics. So Sam,
sure.
do you have, well, both of you? I mean, Sam, do you have an inside track in terms of aesthetics, or should we just let Katie?
Again, the breaking up is kind of challenging, but you're talking about the aesthetics of Katie's story in particular?
Yes. Yeah. What was your impression of it?
For me, I'm really fascinated by the fact, because we all came to, a lot of us in the community came to her work in the black and white slow mosey. So I'm wondering if the video game, you getting into video games, and working with a lot of color in your designs there is what sort of exploded the use of color in this story.
That's an interesting thought. Like, I definitely have not been conceiving of the video game as black and white. Although, honestly, some of the narrative color storytelling in slow mosey, I am bringing to the concept of the main game. I'm still debating on implementing it or not in this slice that I'm making, but it was a black and white comic that it's a little like Wizard of Oz, where it starts in black and white and then that color reveal is so significant, right? And it actually blew people away because they hadn't seen color film before. But people are used to color comics. We're not going to get. But it's like it's like it's coming. What is it? Pleasantville was like that too. That movie, but the color is the lifeblood of the world. So thinking about color kind of as an effect, as a whole other level and layer, that definitely is part of slow mosey, and it's now part of the video game. And guess what, Sam? We had the discussion a couple of fan expos ago about slow mosey and where it is, and I said to you, I'm thinking about pitching it as part of the video game, and I did, and it's actually a huge part of the slice I'm doing right now. So
Wow.
yeah, I'm getting it done. So I'm creating like one of the areas that I'm designing right now is it's a mix of like a birthday party, the like an 80s Memphis living room, and a cowboy saloon, which is
What?
it's just kind of pulling all yeah.
I keep on thinking that maybe Elvis will appear.
Seriously,
You
like,
Jungle Room? Is it the Jungle Room?
the cool thing about Slow Mosey and a couple and this game I'm making, part of the theory, like part of the game or the world rules is that it pulls in lots of different things, like disparate things from disparate realities. So if I want to put a bust of Elvis in, I can, but Elvis existing in that universe doesn't have to be canon, because these universes can collide. It's like a meta. It wrote this a long time before we were doing this Marvel meta thing. Just letting you know. And no, it's a way of, it's actually a way of talking about like nostalgia and aesthetic. So if I can bring in something that reminds you of cowboys in the 70s, what is it also then to bring in something from 3032 in an alternate James Cameron future, and being able to put all of that and mix that together and see what comes of mixing that all together, making up my own little world recipe.
Yeah. So Katie, you heard it first. Katie came up with the multiverse first.
That was me. Sorry, I think I said metaverse because I've got Zuckerberg on my mind.
Oh, metaverse. Okay. So,
oh boy.
Yeah. I think Zuck's going to come out and cancel our show because we stole that. So just kidding.
Right. And all this talking, I forgot to switch my layer. Classic. Classic.
Now, did we discuss when Katie was invited on to the KLAATU anthology? That's the one thing I'm not sure I know about. Like, how did Katie come to KLAATU?
I don't remember. Offhanded. Like an offhanded, oh, by the way, you want to be in the anthology, right? And I can't even, I don't know. It was either Kyle or Ramon, but like I honestly, I was probably talking to both of them at the time. I remember where I was standing. I remember what I was wearing. I remember a lot of things, but I do not remember like the real discussion. So it's kind of fun just to have snuck that in there on the Dropbox and just, oh no, now I'm in it.
Well, it was meant to be. It was one of those type of things. But let's maybe we can talk a little bit about the aesthetics too, because her costume is it's okay. We can hit any tangent you want or any aspect of it. But I think what was cool about it is her costume. The lines and we can talk about the color palette too. Is there a meaning behind the pattern of her form-fitting costume?
I designed her costume many times. And what ended up happening is I just thought I had a really cool helmet for her, and it obscured her emotions. And then I had and then I had all this cool stuff, and I could not tell the story with the accoutrement that I was like really into designing, like these helmets, this kind of like something that looks like it was out of Solaris from the 60s. So I thought, what is minimalist jumpsuit? We're all wearing jumpsuits in the future. Okay, cool. So the lines of the jumpsuit are they're bold, so they will tie her outfit immediately to some of the other characters that we need to know are on their side. It just seems simple, elegant, and fashionable, and it matched with a lot of this kind of I guess like the trippier elements that come out when I'm drawing a lot of like the architectural influence is very much like a neon future brutalism.
That is if that isn't an artistic like term for all the art history books, I don't know what is. But I'm going to say that you probably maybe consulted with Andy, because Andy was, he's very popular about, he's very knowledgeable about the future. So he probably was like,
right.
saying, he probably said,
Yeah.
what is the fashion statement going to be like in the future?
I was like,
And
what are
Andy,
people wearing? Are stripes still in, Andy?
I don't know.
But I just felt that they were powerful while still being minimalist.
Yeah.
That they made it, and that they visually held up against the stark lines of the architecture.
Mm-hmm.
That's what. Also,
that
just
is,
like,
yeah, that is actually a really good thing because it's a nice contrast, I think, with like the hard lines or the linear lines of like the architecture, and then you have her, she's human, and but she has this costume that contours her body and gives that nice organic contrast to like the hard lines of the architecture. I don't know if that was your intention, but that's what I got out of it.
That's actually kind of a deeper evaluation of some of my work because I cannot, just like I'm doing right now, even if she was wearing flowy robes here, I cannot draw a person without thinking about the physique underneath and inhabiting that body. It's probably like an animator in me trying to, scream out. But I can't. So bodycon, I think, it balances the hard lines with the soft lines.
Was fashion designer photography an option for you, Katie, in your career, your past career aspirations?
So I worked with a lot of photographers. Actually, my godfather growing up was a professional photographer. He wasn't fashion, he did food, but it's a very similar industry. And so I think that's a viable career option. He was actually, one of the people that encouraged me to go into art for a living because he was an artist making a living. But I was really never exposed to it in school. In school, like I was supposed to be like a doctor or something, So I didn't have a lot of hard skills in those areas at the time. But once after school, I started illustrating and burnt out immediately, like within a month, because I wasn't saying no to projects and stuff. And I ended up going into the fashion industry. I was modeling for a while, and then I was actually styling. And that was really fun because I'm a terrible model. I don't like sitting still. I don't like it, but I absolutely love clothing and designs and styling. So I thought, styling's great, but you needed to have a car, and I was still in, huge student debt. So, but yeah, comics seem to solve it for me. Or drawing seemed to solve. You like architecture, but do you have 7 years to be an architect? No, you don't. Okay, so you like fashion. Do you have a sewing studio? No, you don't. Okay, so just inhabiting all of my interests by participating in them, creating them, but having them exist mostly in my heart and sometimes on a piece of paper seemed good enough for me. And it still is. I don't think I would have wanted to get hung up in I want to draw a really cool room. I don't want to argue with the electrician about if we can, how much we can route through these neon tubes. No. Yeah, the practicality weighs me down. The practicality of modeling and stuff weighed me down too. It's just it's not very exciting and it's not very creative.
All right, just to give everybody a heads up, we are actually past the 15-minute mark, but I'm going to say, I'm going to go ahead and give, you think maybe another minute to everybody get their stuff, just to where they want to get it. And then that way we can present. So let's put down another minute on the clock. And that goes for anybody that's in the audience. If they want to draw along with us, we're going to give one more minute to get this thing out there. And you know what? Actually, the only thing that can actually add time to the clock is our guest. So Katie, if you want to add time, we can do that. Do you need a little bit more time?
Or a little bit more because
let's put 5 more minutes on the clock then.
5 more minutes.
5 more minutes. Okay. All right. And then go ahead and continue your thought. I don't know if your thought was complete or if Sam
wanted thoughts to do never complete.
Okay. I don't know if Sam wants to follow up with something or whatever, but yeah.
Great.
Oh yeah, go for it.
I was just with the color work and stuff. I don't know how you feel about it, but I always find now, with 3D art, like photo bashing and all this stuff, I'm like
Yeah.
trying to move more away. Like, what's the point in making photorealism? I like respect photorealism, but like, what's the point? Like, we can just there's so many things now that like, you know.
Exactly.
So, yeah, just wondering.
Exactly. I find like photorealism, that's not a point of view. I don't learn a thing about like, oh, the ultimate photorealism just looks, you tricked me. Oh my God, you tricked me. It's not a photo.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Yeah.
And then it ends there. I want perspective. I want a voice. I want like an auteur. You know, I want to learn about you, not your technical skills per se.
Right.
Well, it's fascinating that we have both Andy and Katie on the same show because both of them have a very expressive style. Neither will ever be mistaken for photorealism, and I think that really allows for a certain degree of creativity in comics specifically, where the exaggeration of certain things can really create certain emphasis or certain moods or certain uses of color that are again more expressive. I've noticed that in Ballyskillen as well as your recent work, Katie.
That expressiveness is part of what I consider kind of like magical about people's work. I still like, I've been talking about it for years and I still don't really have a better I don't have a better word than that magic. Like,
I like magic. I
don't know. And Andy's work has it. It has it. I think if we go like majorly technical, we could probably talk about what that specific thing is, but you know it when you see it. And photorealism doesn't do that at all. It doesn't do that for me. Or I like, it's just photorealism is an exercise. It's probably a really fun and helpful exercise if you are just trying to go back to some basic skills. But there's something about, I used to love, as a kid when I first got into comics, I used to love looking at a comic and covering up the artist, first figuring out if there was an inker and an artist, but mostly just covering up the artist, and then seeing if I could pick him or her out just through the work. Like, who's that? And I could do it pretty well. That's part of, those are those details that I can't help but glom onto. And probably, Andy, you have the same thing. Like, your work is so detailed. There has to be something drawing you to those details. And those details, it reveals, I think, what you're all about, like what you're all about as an artist.
Yeah, it's probably showing like what am I thinking? Because like unless I'm looking at the reference, I'm making up 70% of what's on there. So like if I'm making all these details, it's like what is it? You know what I mean? I'm just making up the things. So but like it's interesting your point about like picking out the artist, because I think that's like what everyone kind of is attracted to, right? Like if you can pick them out, then that's what makes them popular a lot of the time. Like, is that unique thing? Like if we go back to like the 90s, if it's like everyone's aping everyone, it's like there's a ton of people you don't probably know, right? But they had work, but they don't last, I guess.
No,
there's just no voice in there.
Yeah.
Now, who are your comic book influences, both Katie and Andrew? I'm very curious in terms of who speaks to you when you were growing up or even currently.
Andy, you go first.
Okay.
I have to. Yeah, you go first.
I'm like, I know my answers, but like I gotta say, I know that these questions all the time. I was terrible with names. Like even like my brother's like the encyclopedia of comic books, so I feel like I never had to be. I'd be like, who's that? And he'd like tell me who it is, and I'm like, like I recognize the art, but I don't know the names. But I do now. But the like Ron Garney's probably my top fave just for influences growing up. The storytelling especially is amazing. And like now the stuff he's doing, like even recently, like with the more graphic stuff, super cool. Besides that, I go back. I'm a big like Kubert guy, like Gilbert stuff. I love all that kind of more classic,
Yeah.
that kind of look. You probably see that a lot in my inks and stuff. That's what I
The
kind
shadows. The shadows and your
Yeah.
rendering. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that kind of stuff. Like more recently, like there's a ton of people, but I love like illustration stuff. Robin McGinnis, the little posters.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Oh yeah.
And stuff.
Good name.
Yeah,
Good name. Yeah.
and like
Yeah, the
line
long
like a lot
legs.
of people. Yeah, like that illustration.
McGinnis is still alive, eh? And
Really?
painting.
Wow.
He recently did all the he redid all the paperback covers for the Neil Gaiman library of novels.
I didn't know
Okay.
that. Yeah.
That's
Mind
cool.
blowing. Great
I
stuff.
think like it's just really funny. Like just as this is like a side. I don't know, it's just a funny story. Like just saying not knowing names and stuff. You look at stuff that you're attracted to and you like. So like it wasn't. I was like way older when I found out Robin McGinnis' stuff. And then every artist I talked to is like, yeah, we love him. Like everyone loves him, right? I'm like, oh, I thought I found this thing that was like mine. You know what I mean? Like no one knows about this guy. But he's like super famous. You know what I mean? Like that's really like okay, yeah. Like,
That's
you
okay.
really,
Yeah.
you really found this diamond in the rough that everybody knows.
No, that's
So,
that's kind of a good thing. It's kind of like, when you find this band that you like and you're like, man, it's like I found this band first, and then like everybody goes, oh man, that band came out last year, and you're like, well, it's new to me, so therefore it's like my gem. But yeah, and I hate to say it right now, but I guess our extra 5 minutes is up, and I want to tell our guests is that you don't feel like this is the end, because I want to see the magic continue. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna show it right now, but what you could do is that you can actually finish it up, and we would love to share it on the art show and on our Comics Cast Facebook page if you want to polish it up and share it. If you want to fully render it. So so first off, so Katie, are you ready to show yours, or do you need are you cool with it?
1 second, I'm trying to
second.
figure out what the heck layer I did anything on.
Okay, all right. We'll put Andy on the spot first. How about that?
Put one.
Okay, all right.
Sure.
So here we go, Andy. I'm gonna maximize yours. I haven't seen it, so let's check this out. And here we go. Look at that! Oh my God! Can you zoom in? I want to zoom in. Let's zoom in and just check this out.
What?
Oh wow!
I just like that extreme foreshortening, and you've already mixed in some colors.
Trippy.
Trippy.
I'm ripping off Katie. So I'm just ripping off your color.
Thank you. I like I love those colors.
Yeah, okay. And the shadows, your trademark Dorland, like shadows, and like where you put those deep textures in there. Really, really nice. Fantastic work. I just love it. Love it. All right, so let's so Katie, are you ready to go, or should I like share mine, or what would you do you need a little bit more time?
I forgot to put eyeballs in, and that'll really mess people up. So
okay. I'll share mine first, and you can go ahead and put your touches on there. Okay, so let's stop this, and let me add one more on here. Window. All right. Did it show up? And right now my computer is misbehaving. Let me see if I can.
Classic computer.
Yeah, there it is. All right, here we go. So here's my interpretation of Jarma.
Nice.
And I'm actually from the school of Jim Lee and the Image influence from the 90s, and I love Mark Silvestris like that. So I couldn't help but like see some of the vibes that were, I wanted to do a little bit of that interpretation. Cool. But the contours were there. I really wanted to like do the contours that define her shape. And it was fun. I really enjoyed drawing your character. But unfortunately, I can't do color. I got to do color. That's the only thing.
That's all right. I barely got to color. I'm trying to just do a thing right before I show this.
Okay. So you want me to just let me know? I'm going to go to the comment field and let me get this. Let me minimize this. And while you're finishing that up, I'm going to let's see what comments were made while we were drawing. Let me scroll up here. We got a hi from Saeed, who's always been on our show. As an audience member. We also get. Oops, I'm clicking. Okay, yeah, we already saw that from Maverick. Let's see. And Brian Acosta says he'll be drawing along. So Brian, if you want, thank you for drawing along. Post it to the art show, which is on Facebook, and I'll pull that up in a moment. Let me see what else we got here. We got Ed Williams, what's up, Comics Cast Crew, hashtag inspiration. Let's see, we got here from Sarah. Yo, guys, are all of you. Not exactly sure what that means. Yes, we are all here. Sarah, we hope that you're drawing along with us. Let's see what else we have. We got Maverick. Reminds me of the film Mandy for sure. That might have been.
Oh, I know the film Mandy.
Brilliant.
Oh, okay.
I haven't seen it.
Okay.
It's such a horrible charlatan all the time because I still haven't seen it.
I'm not sure what that, but I'm gonna have to check it out because now you guys know what he's talking about. Mandy, is it a science fiction movie or is it a?
Yeah, it's a Nicolas Cage science fiction movie. It came out about 4 years ago.
Okay, I'll have to check that out.
Everyone said it is you, Sawatsky. Okay. It is you. So.
Okay, well, I definitely gotta watch that. Yeah. We got Maverick followed up with, I am digging the philosophical, psychological perspective of this narrative. Very interesting, especially when you mentioned how her helmet is to shroud her emotions. So I think you were saying that originally she had a bigger, like a more helmet, but you decided that was like covering up her emotions, so you minimalized.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
That's why because so actually it's a really rough sketch, but I've just pulled up old sketches of her where she has this helmet and I felt like on my drawing board here. Yeah. Yep. So she has this like this giant, and it's part of this like really, really removed. And at one point she has to take it off, but then it got too practical for me. It got too impractical for me because I'm one that wants to think all of it. Like, so if she has the helmet, where's the helmet go?
Right.
You know, people will be like, whatever, the helmet's gone. But I'm like, no, she has to carry the helmet. The helmet's a symbol of this, and she's not letting go of that, so she can't lose the helmet because I don't want that symbolism. You know.
Yeah. I got like a Daft Punk vibes from that. So.
Sick! Yeah, like all of that kind of stuff. You know, it's to me. Like when you're a certain age now, it's classic.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. But Maverick followed up with, so cool, so many artistic ventures. My short time modeling for my college was definitely a memorable experience back in the day. We got Sarah saying that she joined a little bit too late, so she missed out. Hopefully she'll join us for the next drawing challenges. And then we also have, Maverick says, my main inspirations recently come from Lee Bermejo, H.R. Geiger, and Dave McKean. Good names here. And then Maverick is also saying great works. Let's see, we got Shane saying loving the drawings tonight. And he also says agree with what you were saying about photorealism. Leaves me cold. Yeah, that was some really good conversation between Andy and Sam and Katie about that. Some really cool things. Okay, so basically we have your screen like maximized right now, Katie. So what do you want to like talk about this, and then we'll
yeah, it's a mess. I'm gonna tighten it up, but the general feelings there. I never got a chance to really show her. Nobody gets a chance in my story, and this is deliberate, to be very themselves, like have much agency or take action. And there is action in it, but it's flashbacky stuff. So I just wanted to put a large kind of future gun in her hand and give her more fun boots because she's not so sad right now.
See that's the boot. We couldn't see the boots in the sample art, so I think it's really cool to see this part of her seeing the boots. And I never would have thought of her carrying a gun, so it's kind of neat to see that aspect.
Well, it's fun because her backstory really is that she is, and this is like way deep, and I'd tell an actress this if she was playing Jarva, but it's not on the page, but it's way deep. She's actually the military commander.
Oh.
But she's also a subject of her husband because the husband is the main leader. So they have made a choice, and she's been outvoted. That's kind of it. And it's like there were no good choices anyway. So it's
Well, don't give away the whole story. We just want to make there's a little bit of a hint in terms of like what that story is going to be about. So I think it looks great.
I just really dig the chunky boots. Those chunky boots are awesome.
Yeah, I'm putting them up in order repair.
Yeah, can we zoom in? Let's zoom in. We'll do one more final look, and hopefully Katie will pop, when if she feels like she wants to take this to another level, she can share her finished product. But I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, very, very cool. So let me minimize this real quick. Okay. All right, we got one artist. I think his name was Brian Acosta, who shared his piece with us. And let me bring that up. Hold on one moment. And share screen. All right, so here is... All right, so this is what Brian did. And it almost looks like, is she on an examination table? I can't try to... Yeah, but it's... There's a narrative there that
This is so cool.
It's interesting to see there. So Brian, thank you for drawing along with us. If you want to go into the comment field and maybe let us know what your thoughts were when you composed this. But it was really cool to see your interpretation of Dharma.
So trippy. I love it.
Yeah.
That's great.
Very good.
All right. Thank you very much. And I think if anybody in our audience, if you want to draw along, we're going to go to our next drawing challenge. But if you want to draw along with this, with Dharma, you can still do that and just share it to us. Let me know in the comments field and share it later on. But we're going to keep the ball rolling. Let's do our second drawing challenge, which is usually the co-host challenge. But since I have no co-host,
okay.
I have the next best thing, which is Sam Noir, who's going to be my co-host in for this particular show. So I wanted you to come up with some neat thing, because you're not going to be drawing along with us. I wanted you to participate. So let us know what you'd like us, like Andy and Katie and I to kind of tackle. So, Mike is in your hands.
This will give me an opportunity to talk about Cauldron and all the upcoming stuff going on with Cauldron. So, Jill, are you able to call up some pictures of Satanella?
I will.
I think there's a Kalman drawing and there's a Paul drawing. You'll see that she lends herself to a versatility of styles. And actually, I have not. I would just really like to see Katie and Andrew interpret Saint Nella. And the challenge of Saint Nella is that she traverses genres, she traverses time periods. So in looking at, let's say, Kalman or Paul or any of the other creators who have interpreted Saint Nella over the last little while, I'm going to throw this out to you guys. Figure out your version of Saint Nella, whether that's like Wild West Saint Nella, whether this is Saint Nella. We've done 1970s blaxploitation Sister Saint Nella in the current issue. We've done 90s style Bad Girl Saint Nella, but we've also Paul Lemenko has jumped backwards in the latest Saint Nella special to the 1800s. So we have an 1800 ballet dancer version, and this is a character that is actually public domain. It's got deep history, and I can get a little more into that. But if this is cool with you guys, come up with an interpretation that is uniquely yours.
Okay, so that's a great challenge. So in the art that you sent me, I think these are the only two of her.
Are those the only two? Okay, I think those give you a kind of basis in terms of some of the in terms of the hair and the colors, et cetera. But you can see two completely different artists interpreting them completely differently. So we feel free to go nuts and do your version.
Awesome. Okay, so the challenge is to do, and it's Satanella. Is that Satanella? Is that how you pronounce it? I'm the worst at pronunciation. But this is the character.
What was that? You broke up.
Yeah, could you pronounce how do you pronounce her name? Satanella? Is that correct?
Satanella. Yeah, Satanella.
Satanella.
So
okay.
sorry.
Okay. Yes. So this is if you want to draw along, this, do a screen capture of this and do that one, and then here's another one. And there's going to be wide room for interpretation of this character because, like Sam said, it could be a different period piece, it could be different style. There are definitely
you can draw as an Elvira type if you want, or you can, anything from genre pirate version, caveman, cave person version. Sky's the limit right now because she's all about inhabiting stories as part of her backstory. And what's the time limit on this, Joe? I can set an alarm.
Okay, yes, it's 15 minutes.
15 minutes? Okay.
15 minutes. Okay.
Set alarm for 15 minutes.
And let's start the clock now.
Alarm set for 2:53 p.m.
All right. Okay. All right. So I'm going to leave this particular piece up. So if anybody wants to draw along, you can check this out. And it's also, you can see here the name of the magazine that Sam, I believe you are you editor in chief?
Cauldron.
So I'll put the mic in your hands. So you can talk about Cauldron. You can talk about Satanella, and we're going to start drawing. Here you go.
Yeah. Sure. Basically, Cauldron Magazine is sort of a throwback to the old magazines from, say, the 1970s and 80s that they came out with to skirt the comics code, essentially, for a more adult audience. So you had like heavy metal and Epic Illustrated and Creepy. Vampirella started off in these magazines. So yeah, and again, in terms of the adult content, the way Shane Heron, our one of our co-publishers, describes it is these were the type of magazines that would make us feel uncomfortable if our moms found them. So that's kind of the feel we've got we're going for, and essentially. You can see we do give that 70s aesthetic in terms of the font and the logo that we're using, just to give that subtle hint that this is something of inspired by that era, but it's very contemporary as well, which I very much like. It's very much about contemporary horror and supernatural stories, even though we do have a lot of homages to the past. We want to tell stories about today rather than, or if we do tell stories from the past or homage the past, it very much is about the present and today. And I can get a little deeper into that with this when I talk about the Satanella special. But this was kind of a runaway for us in that we all. There were 4 of us that came together, Ricky Lima, Casey Parsons, Shane Heron, and myself. And we wanted to do an anthology because, creating comics is a lonely kind of thing. And when you can sort of work together on shorts and put them all together, you're ultimately stronger as a result. But we did it on more or less a whim. And its popularity means that we're kickstarting soon the 5th issue of Cauldron. Not only that, in the fall, Raid Press is going to be publishing a collection of the best of the first 4 issues of Cauldron Magazine, which is really exciting. And even though I thought it was still up in the air, Shane Heron announced that we're doing hardcovers. He really wants hardcovers. And you know what? So do I. So let's point at the bleachers and say that the Cauldron collection coming from Raid Press in the fall is going to be a nice, large format deluxe hardcover. Because that's the other thing as well. We opted for a magazine because we all love European comics and that larger format and that larger, essentially, page allows showcase for the art. The artists are really, really, truly the stars of Cauldron, in my opinion.
I like I like the homage part of it because it definitely puts that nostalgia feels, capitalizes on that. And I think that it's kind of neat to see the throwbacks to the 70s style, that you're talking about.
Yeah. Absolutely. And we're really excited about the whole, the next issue is coming out. And as soon as, hopefully this will put pressure on them, as soon as Shane and Casey who are collaborating on a cover. Shane's going to be throwing down the pencils and composition, and Casey, who is an amazing painter and has recently broken into mainstream comics covers. I think his Valiant Harbinger cover that I actually cameo on. He drew me onto his Harbinger cover. That comes out this week. Yeah, he's had a number of Image titles as well. I think Stray Dogs. His Stray Dogs cover is amazing. It's a homage to the old It poster, except instead of all the little characters, you have all the little dogs. Of course.
That's cool. I'll have to check that out in terms of
But they're doing the cover, and we're hoping to get this out by TCAF. Forgive us if we don't. There's a lot going on these days, but our good friend Jonathan Kachuba has come back and written and drawn a story. I think this is the first time he's actually written his own story in this. Chris Yao, who I've worked with for years and years and first met at Ty Templeton School, he's drawing my story, which is kind of a post-apocalyptic Mad Max meets Akira kind of story. We've also got a fantastic Edgar Allan Poe style story that my good friend, again from Ty Templeton's bootcamp, Jason Tokowitz, is drawing. That's co-written by RAID members, again Shane Heron and our friend Andrew Healy, who's kind of the resident TV movie animation executive at the studio. He's the guy who we call upon if hey, how do we translate and pitch our comics to TV, film, animation producers, right? That's a great resource to have at the studio. But he's dipped his toe into the Cauldron realm. Shane and Healy are also doing a Cauldron special that they're both co-writing, and Chris Yao is jumping onto that project next. And speaking of Cauldron specials, we initially came up with this character called Satanella, who was supposed to be our version of Vampirella. And for those of you who kind of know the history, Vampirella started off as a host of her own horror magazine. She would sort of present the stories, much like the Crypt Keeper, or in the case of Warren magazine, they already had like for Creepy, Eerie, and Vampirella, they had I think Uncle Eerie and Cousin Creepy and Vampirella sort of presenting the stories. And then she eventually sort of took over her own title as well, and was revived in the 90s as sort of this bad girl. But I thought that was kind of an interesting springboard. And I thought, as a homage to that, what do we have? Satanella. So I Googled Satanella and found riches. It was astonishing what I found, just because I didn't want to, because there was the likelihood of a character called Satanella already existing as maybe a comic book, right? Especially in the 90s when bad girl comics were all over the place.
Right.
It turns out that Satanella originates from a 16th century French novella, which is one of the very first... it's called The Devil in Love, and it was one of the very first fantasy novels out there, what the French call fantastique, in terms of it being about the devil taking the form of a young woman in order to seduce a chaste, devout young nobleman. And from there, this novella eventually, over the centuries, has been interpreted as a famous ballet. There's been opera. Satanella has also shown up in movies as well. Most notably, most recently, a Roman Polanski film starring Johnny Depp called The Ninth Gate, where Emmanuel Biert, Polanski's wife, plays Satanella, the unnamed Saint character.
That's a lot of history. A lot of history there.
Yeah, no, it's this open source. And then I thought, wow, because our original springboard, of course, was Vampirella, who has history in the 1970s as a magazine mascot and a femme fatale, but revived in the 90s in this sort of image era sort of aesthetic, and then continues to this day. So I thought, what can I do to create a fake history alongside the real history of this character? So yeah, there's stories brewing that run the gamut of how Saint Nella possesses artists and creators, and essentially replicates herself as a meme throughout history, through artists and creators, filmmakers like, in a meta sense, filmmakers like Roman Polanski, or actors like his wife Emmanuelle Biert, or the in Paul Lemenko's story in the Saint Nella special, for example, that we kind of reinterpret the life ballet of Satanella, and the ballet was, I believe, the first time that she was called Satanella instead of The Devil in Love, which is the title of the original novella.
I feel like I've gotten like the IMDb history as told by Sam.
Yeah,
it's like,
well,
it's
well,
great.
I
I love it. I love this, the history, the rich history.
Yeah, creating sort of a meta character that you can slot in. So currently, I have a story in the works that takes sort of the real life history of the Wonder Woman creator. I don't know if you're aware of him, but he was in a what we call a throuple relationship. He was a psychologist, and those early Wonder Woman Golden Age comics are absolutely bonkers, because they do sort of espouse his theories around female superiority through love. But then there's all kinds of odd sort of sexuality in there as well, in terms of the lesbian subtext and the bondage and the spanking and all that. So I'm kind of doing a fictionalized deep dive. There was a movie a few years ago, I think, called Professor Marsden and the Wonder Women, which sort of explored his real life, and to the point where Marsden passed away quite young, in his 30s, but his two partners, his wife and the woman who was his teaching assistant, whom Wonder Woman was visually based on, because she had like these bracelets that she always wore. These two women stayed together and raised his children that they each bore with him as a couple for the rest of their lives, well into their 80s. So there's kind of a fascinating story behind that, and I'd kind of like to reinterpret that if Saint Nella was, say, Wonder Woman in 1939.
That's actually a really intriguing perspective to like explore that angle, and then the whole Wonder Woman aspect. I had no idea the parallels that Saint Nella had with that. But yeah, how much time do we have basically left?
Sorry, just having a quick look over here. It's 2:50. Oh, it's left.
2 minutes left. Okay, all right.
I managed to talk through the whole thing. Well,
I'll keep on going.
Finish.
Yeah.
I'll finish with the other thing in the upcoming Saint Nella special. We've also got a story drawn by Sam Agro, who's a wonderful, wonderful local artist, and he's currently actually storyboarding the Paw Patrol series, the animated, which makes me a huge hero, because I picked up a commission of him doing the Dalmatian dog and his fire truck for my nephew, my 4-year-old nephew. But Sam is actually someone who's been on the comic scene for 20-30 years in different capacities, and he loves 1970s era culture. I'm always seeing him seeing him do sketches, so he was the perfect guy to do this blaxploitation interpretation of Saint Nella, which we're calling Sister Saint Nella. And I also knew Sam Agro loves drawing werewolves, so it's a mashup between 70s Pam Grier style blaxploitation movies and The Howling. So just imagine Pam Grier versus Sybil Danning, the werewolf queen in Howling 2.
Love
And
it.
yeah, it kind of allows us to as well explore. This is what I find interesting about doing 70s era stuff or other era stuff. You get to talk about events through that filter. So yeah, in terms of Black culture and what we've gone through in the recent years. So that is time. Do you guys want to extend time? How are
It's
you guys doing?
up to the guest. What do you think, Andy and Katie?
Andrew and Katie?
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm good. I'm good.
All right.
You're good to show your work? Okay, let's go.
All right,
Sure.
let's put pencils down. And let me unshare this real quick. Let's see. Stop sharing. Okay. And I think we have Katie by default.
Ooh.
Can you zoom in? I can already see the.
That's amazing.
Look at those
Wow.
lines. Look at those
I
lines.
love the hair.
Thank you. I
Wow.
started with the hair, like just bang it in, just bang something in there, and then balance the rest.
Oh, I dig it because it has a fashion sense to it as well. We talked about that earlier in your origin story. But yeah, can you zoom in a little bit more? Let's see the details around her face. I'd like to see that.
Sure. Yeah. Let's. I'm looking at 2 monitors. It's very crazy.
Oh, this looks great, and I like the splash of color, just adding the color to the eyes and the.
The eyes and lips. I was right as you were like, "That's time." I was like, "What's just makes it in the third place?" Maybe the eyes count as 2 separate objects. Is it 3? Which rule?
It looks great. It looks awesome.
That's fantastic.
Let me go ahead and show. Let's put Andy's up there. So hold on one moment. Here we. I want to make sure I hit the right one here. Oh, check this out. This is Gunslinger Saint Noah. Oh,
It's the same set.
That's amazing, dude.
Oh, can we zoom in too on this one? I'd like to.
Sure.
Both of these are so great.
You want to zoom in here? I'm just joking.
Well,
That's
you can.
fantastic.
I love that she still has her ears and teeth and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, I know.
I like the perspective. It's like if there was an armadillo that was a photographer and he was shooting upward. It's just really neat. Sam,
And I do appreciate that Andy's interpreting her as a full-figured woman. This is fantastic.
Yes, that's
Sure.
true.
Great stuff.
Very, very cool. Okay, so I am this Sam. I think you're gonna have you have some new material for your next Cauldron magazine.
Some new inspiration here. This is the thing. I love seeing everyone's interpretation, and that's as an open source character, as a character that is kind of historical and in the public domain. This is what the character's there for other artists to sort of create their own version and create their own vision.
Yeah, I definitely love these 2 versions. Very, very cool. I guess let me check to see if anybody in our comment area of our audience drew along. But while I'm doing that, let me go ahead and share mine real quick. And let me put that up there. And so,
nice.
This version
cool.
is basically like not sure Sam who the artist was that did the sample that you gave that had the green like neon.
Oh yeah, that's Kalman, whom Katie mentioned earlier. Our studio mate, Kalman Andrzejowski, best known for reinventing the iconic Captain Canuck superhero. We had a Cauldron art show, and then a few days ago, a few days after the art show, he just sort of sent me this Saint Nella drawing and said, "Hey, I did this for you guys," and I'm like, "Oh my god, this needs to be a cover." So yeah, Kalman is the official cover artist, along with Paul Lemenko. Actually, Paul's gone back and done cover as well. But yeah, in terms of the 2 covers for the upcoming St. Nellis special, hopefully this summer and fall, it'll finally see the light of day. I know everyone's been very patient during the pandemic as the content's been coming in dribs and drabs. But I'm very excited just to get back into it and have another issue of Cauldron, have a Cauldron collection, have the Cauldron St. Nellis special. This is
I'm gonna add that to my must pick up list. It'd be really cool to see what these other artists' interpretations, especially maybe Andy and Katie, their pieces can maybe find their way into that particular volume when it comes out. So
yeah, maybe like we're always looking for pinups, right?
I'll polish this up for you. I'll polish this up. Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to check out the comment field. Saeed says here, where can I get this comic? I'm assuming he's talking about Cauldron. Sam, do you want to talk about
raidpress.com?
Raidpress.com. Saeed, check that out. Yeah. Is there a digital? Saeed is actually, volumes. I think he's in the Middle East, like Dubai, or is there a digital version?
You know what? I'm trying to remember. You know what? Drop me a line. But okay. In terms of the physical versions, head over to raidpress.com. And actually, our fulfillment gentleman, Rob Kugler, does a really, really good job of. He'll know. I'm sure there will be shipping options for the Middle East that are quite reasonable.
Good. So Saeed, you can actually send me a DM, or you can go to the comments field, and if you want to like engage, either if you want to talk to Katie, to Andy, to Sam, you can talk to them directly, and they can hook you up in terms of letting you know how they can internationally ship Cauldron or any of the other Raid books, Raid Press books. Let's see who we have here. We have. I agree with this. This is from Shane. Fascinating backstory to Satanella inspired me to draw along. Okay, great. So I'm going to look for Shane's work.
Oh, cool.
And then we got Maverick was able to do one for the show. Okay, we have some audience participation for this one. And here it is. Kind of took a short break from work. Yeah. So Katie, Maverick is taking that short break. He said that he has the correct mentality to be a night owl and keep on producing stuff. And Sarah just uploaded something too. So give me a moment to like get their artwork. Sam, I don't know if you want to like just maybe talk a little bit more about Satanella while I get some of this other artwork. And
we didn't hear Katie's comic picks either, artist influences.
Pardon me? I didn't.
Oh, we didn't hear Katie's artist influence.
Oh, yes, Katie.
Yeah.
Would you like to?
Oh,
yeah, we forgot. Good call, Andy.
Thank you, Andy.
No problem.
Andy.
I was waiting the whole time.
What could it be? This is hard because what was I first influenced by? I loved the illustrations in books. I like old-timey illustrations. I loved like fully painted children's anthology of nursery stories. I wouldn't read them, I'd just flip through these pages. And then when I got older and started, of course, like certain cartoons on TV, very influential. I grew up watching like He-Man and She-Ra and all that. Transformers, Ninja Turtles, whatever anime we could get our hands on at the time. So a lot of that, like, that is a very specific aesthetic that got kind of drilled into me. And when I look at that, I think I would look at the way that stuff was put together. And then abandoning art for a long time, and then come back to art. I was inspired one day to pick up comics off a spinner rack. We had comics, we'd casually buy comics, but I hadn't bought them as like an adult. I guess I was 14 or so. And I was inspired by Chris Bachalo on Generation X, as it was called.
Yeah, great.
Huge influence.
Yeah. Great run.
Incredible. And then that got me into a comic book shop. And from there, I discovered Jeff Smith's Bone, Black and White. Who knew that like unbelievable storytelling and like the balance in the artwork. So I like off the cuff, those are my two from when I started looking at comic art and started kind replicating it a bit myself. Those were my two influences. So you can see why I thought I was going to be a black and white artist. But
those are great inspirations. I love those artists as well. And I can see some of the influence, but you definitely developed your own unique style, and that's what we get to see here. And I just compiled. I want to let you know that we had four audience participations on this one. So let me pull up this for everybody's show.
Let's see.
All right, so this is Sarah Samba. She is heavily influenced by like the Disney style, the anime style. So really liked her interpretation of this. And then we also have Mr. Brian Acosta, who did this as well. Very cool. You can see.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, Saint Nella's like here in the mid ground. Yeah, and it looks like I don't know if she's in a beast transformation, or maybe there's a
fantastic.
Yeah, it was just really neat to see him interpret that. And then we have this from Shane. Check that out. I don't know how. Did that
that's
in 15
fast.
minutes.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And I believe
love it.
It's also good. It's fast, but it's good.
And that's from Shane. I'm going to butcher his name. Chebsy, I believe. So check that out. And then we got this. This is from Maverick. Oh my God.
Whoa.
That's awesome.
He did this between jobs in 15 minutes. Just
so cool.
Very cool.
Incredible.
So we got
thank you so much.
Nailed the horror vibes on that.
I know. Maverick is famous for like doing these kind of like captivating but very disturbing, like not want to close your eyes, because that when you open your eyes, that artwork is going to be coming for you in the night. You know, type things. So.
Awesome.
The Mignola / Gabriel Fabio Moon.
Yeah. All
That's
very good observations. Okay, so let me minimize this, and I want to. There's a few more comments that popped in here before we go to our third drawing challenge. Let me see. Let me scroll down to see. Oh, actually, I think I showed all the comments. Okay, so we're good with that. All right, so let me turn this off, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to share the screen one more time. And for this last challenge that we're going to have is we're going to revisit the IP Ballyskillin by Andy and Sam. And we're going to be doing, hold on one moment, Ballyskillin. This character, this is Molly.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes. And so as a surprise, Sam didn't even know this. This is something that we just determined, like, I don't know, 20 minutes before the show with Andy.
No, this is great. She doesn't get enough love, and in issue 2, she really comes into her own as she's got a lot going on. You see her in the first issue as sort of a character in passing, so I can't wait for the tilt, as they call it, in issue 2 when you guys read all about what Molly's been up to.
Okay, so if that isn't a big tease for you to go pick up Ballyskillin issue 1 and Ballyskillin issue 2 when it debuts, I don't know what is. It's going to be really cool because again you're seeing the rich line work, and I'm going to tell you, Katie, nice fashion work that's being put into this character Molly. So I'm going to be looking forward to seeing how you're going to put some your touches on this. All right. So if you're going to draw, so our audience, if you would like to do a screen capture, this is Molly. She's a character in Andy and Sam's Ballyskillin. And we're going to let Andy or Sam, if you guys want to draw and talk, or, if you want to draw and talk Andy, to talk a little bit about Molly, her aesthetic, her design. If you want to like drop some hints about her story without spoiling anything, that's up to you. But we will start the clock. We'll do 15 minutes, and the clock will start right now. So, Andy, tell us a little bit about Molly.
15 minutes?
15 minutes.
Sure.
Set for 3:22 p.m.
There you go. Yeah, Molly's like, yeah, she's tricky to talk about, but she's probably my favorite character of the story. But she's like, yeah, she's presented as one thing. Let's see what happens in the story, but she's kind of like a caring person that's set into a situation that you might not want to be in. Maybe is something. Yeah, she is tricky to talk about because she is kind of like the big mystery of
because
the
there's
story.
a couple
So
of tilts with her, isn't there?
yeah,
And that was part of the fun. Well,
she's
Go
the
ahead.
school teacher, we can say, because she's the school teacher. She keeps getting all the kids like when they're off at school. It's like 1980s Ireland, so everyone, there's no cell phones and stuff. So she's like listening to a lot of problems. She's kind of this bouncing soundboard, I guess, of the community in some ways. What else can I say? She's a love interest of Rory. That's kind of set up pretty quick in the first issue, so it's not spoilers there. What else, Sam? What else can we say about Wally without?
It is tough because at different points in the series, she appears as one thing when she's really the other. There's a couple of tilt points in, I think, issue 2 and then issue 3. Again, I'm just like, for me, I'm just rubbing my hands waiting for the the WTF moments in issue 2 and issue 3 that are popping up. But this is part of the fun of it as well, I think, because just to let folks know, Andrew brought these characters to me for the most part. Most of the characters were fully formed, but once we started talking in terms of the potential story arcs, after sort of his initial introduction to me, he initially introduced these characters to me. My first thought was where are they going from the start of the first the first of the 4 issues to the end of the 4 issues? And he had already plotted out some of the twists, but I think, just coloring her a lot more subtly in terms of what's going on and what we think is going on is exciting to me. Like this back and forth that Andrew and I had on it, I quite enjoyed. I love taking sort of his ideas and his concept and his deep knowledge of Irish mythology too, in terms of the different creatures that are in Irish mythology, and basically reinterpreting them for a contemporary fantasy audience. I always wanted to write a quote unquote Neil Gaiman style story, and I have to take my hat off to Andrew and thank him from the bottom of my heart for giving me this opportunity. I am super pumped and excited for what we've come up with together.
Mm.
Yeah, it's awesome. Sorry, good.
I was going to say, what I know of Irish mythology from my Irish husband is the big one is just don't pick up a comb.
Yeah, that's that's number
like, okay,
one.
I will not pick up the comb.
And why is that?
It's a banshee comb.
It's a trap.
Oh,
it's a trap. If you like kids are playing in the playground or something, you see a comb, it's still like a thing.
What?
It is. Yeah, it's like still a thing.
It's like a
on
big
the ground. He's like,
I'm gonna go to Ireland. I'm gonna bring a box of combs, and I'm just gonna like litter them around. I'm just gonna put a hidden camera to see what people's what their reactions are. But that's crazy. So like, if you pick up the comb, what does the banshee come for you in the night, or what exactly? What's the superstition that goes along with it?
Yeah.
Like I think it marks you. I'd have to double check it. I remember reading. I have like so many books of all these different stories, and they're always a little bit different. But I'm pretty sure it marks you that you are kind of targeted.
Oh, I have the answer. If you pick up the comb, the banshee screams at you until you go insane.
Oh my gosh, that sounds horrible. That sounds horrific.
No, I'm not into that.
I will need to find a way to work this into issue 5, because issue 5 is sort of a one-shot. It actually might end up being a one-shot that we call Susie the Banshee. And it's about a banshee, but it also reinterprets the previous 4 issues in a different way. I love the whole different points of view aspect of all these characters that Andrew brought to the table and that we've been creating together to expand the universe as well.
I like that, the Ballyskillen universe, and just the name Ballyskillen. I know we talked about it in the last show, but just to bring everybody up to speed in terms of that, what is the meaning? Like, what is behind Ballyskillen? Is there
Andrew? Tell them about the TV show, because I love that TV show.
What?
Oh, now I'm forgetting the name. You got me on the spot. And I
It
can't
was
remember.
something Skillen, right? Like,
Yeah, no. What is it called? It's like
it
one of those
really
things.
gave
You
me
know when it's on the
because it was
tip of your
this
tongue.
weird sitcom, this weird
find it,
Irish
I'll find it.
sitcom that
It's so good though.
that gave me insight, because I was having trouble, because Andrew, literally fresh off the boat from Ireland, was sort of immersed in this world and this culture and this pub culture as well, and because everything's centered around the pub. But he sent me a link to this essentially sitcom, a wacky sitcom, and it really cemented for me a lot of the tone of what we were going for in terms of some of the absurdities, but actually some of the realities of Irish rural life.
So I'm trying to find the show.
Okay.
But, I don't want to take away from your drawing time, but
it's okay.
I want to know.
It's Killa something, isn't it?
Find it later.
It's Killa.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
Killa. Hold on.
Killiskillen.
Oh, Scully.
Killa Scully.
Scully.
Oh, okay.
It's killing us, Scully.
So Ballyskillen is an homage to that sitcom? Is that what? Or that?
Yeah, never so much an homage, but it was like a good. Like I was just trying to at the early days trying to get like the vibe and talk to Sam about like the feeling and what even like asking for directions and different kind of things that would be happening. And that because the show was made, I believe in the 80s. It's got or the early 90s. It's before cell phones and stuff. So like all the comedy and stuff.
Where the current storyline is set. We didn't want to deal with cell phones, basically.
Yeah.
Great.
So it's super funny show. People should check it out.
Oh, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look that up.
But I think at some point we were also like going through a map of Ireland and taking, because we wanted a pretend place, but that sounded sort of authentically Irish as well. So we would take like the beginning of one town and the end of another town. I think.
I forgot to tell you, Sam. It was funny. This is after we've already came. We thought we made up the name, but yeah, you looked up the thing that was like summer. It was like Bally. Like Skillen's just a place like town, but there's actually like an old opera house that's called Ballyskillen. Like it's an ITV. It was actually a TV show, like a sketch thing. But so it's funny. We're all good.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome though. We'll have to check that out.
So that opera house or that theater is not going to come at you for like a copyright and say you stole our name.
No.
I don't think so. But I think we're all right. But. Yeah.
Okay, so we did sort of nail something fairly authentic then.
By accident, yeah.
No, that was 100% intentional. Like years of research and making sure that it was 100% authentic. I'm gonna say that.
But no, I think I'm gonna give credit to Andrew for the final name, because again, Emerald Knights was a good title, but I think we could have gotten something a little more. The fact that Ballyskillen evokes a certain feel rather than something almost cliche about saying Emerald Knights. I think.
Yeah, and I almost think that I like Ballyskillen better because it's so unique sounding. Versus when I think of this is the DC fanboy in me. When I think of Emerald Knights, I kind of think of Green Lantern. And
I admit, which was a great series.
But I like Ballyskillen much better. Yeah.
Emerald Knights makes me think of Baywatch Nights.
Nice. We should have kept it.
Baywatch Nights is so good.
That's so funny.
If folks don't know Baywatch Nights, just imagine because X-Files was really popular at the time.
Yeah,
and they wanted to do
that's exactly it.
Is that why?
And so at night, David Hasselhoff and his policeman friend hunt like
who's
vampires.
also in the regular series. So that's the weirdest part. It's like they don't talk about what they're doing at night.
Oh, really?
Oh my God! Last night I ran into a vampire.
What? Are you kidding me? It's like,
Forget about this drowning victim. Tell me more about that.
well, the vampire was drowning. That was the story. And
That's the story.
Oh, but the opening is just him and his buddy walking in slow motion,
Yeah.
like through the darkness with.
I've never seen this. I've got to
Oh.
see this.
It's on. I think
Go
it's
to
on
YouTube.
Prime now. I think
Really?
it's on
Is it
Prime.
really?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's funny.
Go watch the opening on YouTube. It's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's brilliant in its insanity. Like,
It's like what Ballyskillen could have been. It could have been Emerald Knights starring David Hasselhoff. Yeah, it's like that would have been funny.
but in terms of our main character, Rory, the whole idea of an everyman, who's lived in this town all his life, suddenly his eyes are opened up and he actually sees that he's living in a hidden community of fairies who have integrated themselves. But there's a spell around the village, which is, again, just to bring up the augmented reality portion and why Andrew is so brilliant. It really lends itself to the augmented reality, doesn't it, Andrew?
Yeah, because you can like hide things. You can uncover things that are hidden in the tale by putting the app up to the comics. So there's lots of opportunity and fun stuff to use that technology to add things and just add extra stuff to the story that you wouldn't normally see.
My favorite idea of yours was the monster manual. I thought the monster manual bit was quite clever.
Yeah, because I think I even said it before. Yeah, D&D kind of style. So if there's like a creature on the page that you really like, I can keep updating the app as well, and we can get like a monster manual. There's some in there already, but I can keep adding to it. And so you just click on it, and it'll pop up with like an info screen, gives you all their stats and kind of a little bit of a history on them, as far as I know. And go from there.
It's like it's the Irish Pokemon. The monster.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
And this is what I like about what you with the augmented reality thing that you've worked into Ballyskillen is that it's not it's not just thrown in for the sake of, hey, it's a gimmick, it's a technology gimmick. It's unique to your story because it's this hidden world, right? It's this hidden world, and when you use technology, you can reveal an aspect of the hidden world that you didn't know existed. So it furthers the narrative. So it's 100% intentional, and it works from a narrative standpoint. I mean, was this like something like, hey, I just discovered augmented reality, I'm going to write a story around it, or did I write a story around it and, hey, I just found this tool that allows me to further it? I mean, was it the
this is totally Andrew in his day job? Correct me if I'm wrong. It was your day job that you were working on storyboards and animatics, but then you were playing around with Blender, and that was the sort of tilt, wasn't it, for you in terms of what was possible?
I honestly don't remember what was the thing that was like augmented reality and why I even looked it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just remember it was Blender, and then using Unity. Like Unity is the other software.
These are the tools that I'm starting to use or have been using, and I honestly want to talk to you.
Yeah, yeah. It's I'm no super expert. I learn what I need to learn, kind of thing, but then that keeps unlocking. Yeah, but then like it will just keep unlocking new things, right? Like It's so amazing what you can find and teach yourself if you already have a bit of a tech head brain. Yeah,
to get a bit of context and a bit of solid vocabulary, even, and then I think it's I think that you and I sound like we're the same.
You and Andrew, you even started on a Ballyskillen game that we probably should talk about at some point when we have a spare moment. But that I found fascinating.
Yeah, I
fact
wonder
that
if I could
like further gamify the experience.
I'll start. Maybe I can load that while we're doing this.
Sure.
Well, after we do the live drawing,
Oh, sorry.
And
uh,
time.
We're out of
Do you
time.
guys
time.
want to extend the time?
okay, it's up to the guests. What do you think?
I could use a few minutes if that's okay.
Okay. 5 more
let's-
minutes.
5 more
1
minutes.
minute.
Set alarm for 5 minutes.
All right.
I don't need that.
And Andy, if you want to share your screen after we do the live drawings of like any of those video games that you and Sam were talking about, you're
Sure.
able to do that.
And again, I give full credit to Andrew. He is the genius in this Ballyskillen equation in terms of all the technology. I'm kind of along for the ride on this, which has been an amazing ride just to be able to talk about things.
You're humble though. You're making the story a lot better. The story that I originally presented was not nearly as good, so it's all good.
well, that's what makes you guys a great team, So
Exactly.
Well, the fact that we wrote that first, I keep talking about that splash page of our druid character cradling the child. I always give an out because I'm like, how would I draw this? And I put, the battle is in silhouette, let's say, so you didn't have to draw hundreds of characters. And then he handed it in, and it was like Gone with the Wind, the crane shot in Gone with the Wind. So not only that, after that, he actually because again, you're taking shortcuts, right? So it's like, okay, we'll just show the aftermath of the battle, but then he went and animated the entire battle. Like, we're not talking motion comics. This is a full animated, traditionally animated, like frame by frame sequence that he's done that just adds so much, enhances the story. You don't need the augmented reality, but it certainly adds a lot, especially what Andrew's fully animated.
Well, I think no one can accuse Andy of being an underachiever. He definitely will go above and beyond in terms of the experience. In terms of
he doesn't do anything half-assed. I like to say he's the whole ass on
And the whole
and Sam means that in the most affectionate way.
Oh yeah, I understand.
No, I am always in awe to this day. The deep dive into whenever something comes up, he's into it and he does his research and the NFT thing I think is a great example of you just it coming up and you doing the deep dive, right?
Yeah, it's just going back, even the animation stuff. Like when we started Ballyskill and stuff, I've only done a little bit of it, but not too much. But now, especially for issue 2, my kind of knowledge and experience with animation now is so much bigger, even just from the first issue. So I'm excited to get into that even more.
Now, I want to ask you, because I've been meaning to ask you, and we've been just so busy. So you remastered the color in our original 8-page that's appearing in KLAATU. What difference between the Dorland of 2 years ago that colored the original Fair Folk story and the Dorland of, let's say, 2 years later?
It'd be just, I don't know, anything, just growth, but just mainly in that story is more separation and clarity for the reader. And then I even went in and I took out some stuff and kind of tweaked around with some just basic kind of lines and different things. But yeah, it's mainly the just separating more stuff, even more drastically, I guess, just pumping up kind of different things. And it's hard I don't have a single thing to say exactly, but it's more just basic color theory and knowledge of how stuff's been and my growth, I guess, since that time. So I just wanted to fix some things that I could see an error. It's like an artist thing, all of a sudden I have an opportunity to go back and fix something before it goes to print, and I see the problem, so I'd rather just fix it and then
Because as a digital bonus, we did give this 8-pager to the Ballyskillen backers, and it even did have a little bit of animation in that first page, right? Of him sort of drunkenly stumbling into the ferry mount, if I'm remembering. exactly.
Yeah, and I actually I have some new stuff. I don't think I've even showed you. I did a few test animations for those pages as well. So if I was able to update the app, I could even maybe get those into the app.
Oh, amazing! So that's the 5-minute mark. Put your pencils down if you
Pencils
want.
down.
Again,
All right.
Katie and Andy, are you guys good, or did you want another 5 minutes?
I'm good enough. I was talking.
Done.
I draw so slowly when talking.
All right, so we have
man, awesome.
Katie's up. Look at Katie. Oh my gosh.
You are freaking brilliant, Katie. We got to use this as some
Yeah.
sort of pin-up or something in the next issue of Ballyskillen.
I was trying to get that hidden attitude. You were like, "Well, there's going to be something more with her." I'm like, and
Yeah,
she
it's
knows
good.
it. She knows it.
I
Yeah.
like the hair.
I like everything about it. I mean, just the composition in terms, and then the colors. You know, we keep on talking about the fashion part of it. It's just you did some simple, just it's almost like those fashion marker renderings that you see.
Right, yeah.
It reminds me of that, but in the context of Ballyskillen, it's just I'm in awe. Can we zoom in? I want to see, like, I want to look at her face. Let's check out her face.
She's fun, guys. She's really fun.
Thanks,
I always
yeah.
love the energy of a time sketch as well, in terms of just needing to get the lines down and get that expressiveness of the character.
Yeah.
I always appreciate things done quickly have a certain energy to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I like how you she has freckles, but you use like this brush stroke. I guess it's a brush stroke that
yeah, it's probably like one of those manga
halftone screens.
Things.
Yeah.
With digital, I like to do that sometimes, just experiment. Like it's intentional, and everyone knows people suspect it's digital. Like it's not a sleight of hand thing. It's just kind of like things used in different ways. That always gets me excited.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I use cloud brushes for water, and like cement texture. I like to draw with that. So you never know. I loved it. I love digital.
Well, yeah. I mean, even like when we look at her hair too, and it was kind of like a subtractive method. You blocked in the blacks and then went in with a white. It's like whiteout, using whiteout on traditional. But it's these techniques, they can translate from traditional to digital, and with great results. I mean, look at this. And can we scroll down? I see you used some halftone screens also, like around her collarbone.
Yeah, a lot of people that have freckles here have freckles here, and if you blush here, you're blushing here. So that's just like a bit of life drawing. I like to. It gives it a little bit more life.
Mm-hmm. And then the texture, and I mean the pattern and the fabric, the textiles. I just like how your interpretation of it as well. It's just really, really cool. Andy, what do you think? This is your character.
I love it. Yeah, we would just update the first and make her look more like this. Hair.
Well, maybe after she does that,
I'll send you a royalty check.
Well, when he makes it an NFT, he can make this an NFT.
Yeah. Well, maybe Sam was alluding that there's going to be some seismic shift in her her character. So maybe this will be like the next iteration of Molly. Like who knows?
There's no reason she can't do her hair different.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's a lot of hair. I just did a lot of open.
It is a lot of hair.
Like I would scrunch that all back up.
That's awesome. I love it.
It's coming loose.
All right. Love it. We were eating this up. It's really cool. Let me move to Andy's. Let's get Andy's up here. So Andy and oops, wrong one. That's you already did that one. Let me. Do I have is your camera? Where's your camera? I seem to have lost your camera. I think your camera has been can you connect your camera one more time? Oh, there it is. I see it. Oh, it disappeared.
Try now.
How many years ago does this version of was this done for the comic, or was that done for the proposal? I can't.
Oh, sorry. What's happening? Oh, there it is. There it is.
Jupiter junkie going on in there.
Check this out. Look at this. Oh my! Can we zoom in?
It's more of a spooky, sad vibes, but.
Well, look at Andy. Andy decided to go ahead and put in a background. He wants to put an establishing shot. We have are those skulls that are in the background? I think Andy overachiever. He's definitely like showing flexing. He's
messy.
flexing right now. Just you want to talk about this? Like what exactly is this is Molly?
It's just spooky swamp vibes, you know.
Okay.
She's
A
like,
hint of things to come.
yeah,
Okay.
spooky
No,
swamp vibes.
no spoilers in this particular illusion.
Not quite, but yeah,
Okay. I love it. Can we zoom in? I want to see. Let's look at her face. I want to.
it's a little rough, but you know,
Yeah. Well, I can kind
all
of see it's
good.
like she's looking like maybe there's something. Well, I'm trying to glean
What's
something
down
more out
here.
of this. Yeah.
So she's looking over here.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
What's over here?
yeah. It's the void. The void is coming to Ballyskillen.
Tune into
Nice.
issue 2 to find out.
Really, it's like Andy put like a black space there because there's a spoiler underneath that void that's in the
Yeah.
So, very
Something
cool.
lurks in the swamp.
The swamp vibe. Very, very,
Cool.
very cool. All right, so let me see
All
if
right.
anybody else drew along with us. We got a couple. Oops, we're getting some crazy multiple
Sorry.
screens showing up there. We got a couple shout outs here. We got Miss Serena. He says, "Hey guys." We got Shane Chesby, Bally Kiss
It's
Angel.
Angel. I remember that show now.
Oh, that's the
Yeah.
name of the Irish sitcom that we're talking about. That we were talking about. Bally Kiss Angel.
Bally
Okay.
Kiss Angel. Yes.
Okay. All right. And Shane actually says, "I've actually been there." I don't know. Was he?
The Ballyskillen Opera House?
Oh, I guess so. Like Shane, if you wanna like talk about that, that'd be really cool.
Yeah, we'd be
Oh.
fascinated.
Okay, and Sarah just informed me that she uploaded. Let me go check out.
Oh, I
Our
can't
art
wait to
show.
see these.
And we will
Thank
see.
you so much for everyone who's drawing along. This is wonderful. I love
It's
seeing
really
this stuff.
it's awesome seeing people join us.
Yeah. Let's see. We got Sarah who drew along, and let me see if anybody else. Yeah, I think Sarah was the only one. Let me
Alright,
refresh
thanks.
one more time. Well, I'm sorry, Andy. Let me unshare your.
Yeah.
Let me go.
Speaking
Yeah,
of the
let's-
Andy, did you get to talk about Jupiter Junkie at any point during this? I'm a big fan of Jupiter Junkie.
Oh, thanks.
You want to
Not
talk
yet.
about Jupiter Junkie while I get this thing ready to go?
Well, it's another thing I'm working on at the same time, but it's like yeah, I'll talk a little bit about it. I'm just trying to get like a trailer kind of pitch. It's actually like an animated thing that I'm working on a little bit on the side with some guys at the studio. But it's I'm just trying to think how much I can say, but it's about a guy he's addicted to Jupiter junk, which is like a drug in the future. And but he's like kind of like a space assassin. He works for the pharmaceutical company, has full control over the drug. So they actually, this is a little twisted, but they take pregnant women and inject them with the drug, and then their pregnant women die. Yeah, they die. But then the child, that's the only way they can get the person to have enough immunity to have, right? So the child is birthed with enough resistance against the drug that's already hooked on the drug. And so that's the way he's born. But most even babies die, but it's like, a certain percentage live, and that's what makes Jupiter Junkie is the name. So he's one of many Jupiter Junkies, but the pharmaceutical company mines the junk, and that's how they control these assassins that they create. So they control the supply, and then he's stuck in this cycle of murdering and killing people.
It's like it's kind of like a sci-fi Umbrella Academy kind of.
Yeah, you could think we're leaning a lot. You could also think like sci-fi Train Spotting is kind of.
That's even better.
Yeah.
Are you gonna do the Ewan McGregor falling into the toilet scene?
No. Well, maybe some stuff like that, but yeah.
Although one of the very first, because this was one of the very first augmented reality tests you did, and it does lend itself to a certain trippiness, like when you did that animation, I remember.
Yeah, I could maybe use some of that aspects in there, but I guess the only other thing, like. Yeah, there's a lot more to the story, but I guess the big mystery in the story itself is that no one believes that you can survive coming off the drug, like the withdrawals are so bad that it will kill you, but no one's actually tried it. So it's bad. So that's the big thing hanging over the story, is that would you take the chance, like, and try to get off, but you're told your whole life that you'll die. So, and it's like horrifically bad. Like I was trying to make like the worst detox you could
ever imagine. Ever imagine.
So,
that's okay. I'm intrigued. I can't wait till that drops. When you're ready to drop that, you're coming back on the show. We're gonna have to talk about that.
Sounds good.
But let me share the other bit of fan art. So here we go. We got this. This is from
awesome.
Look at this.
Oh wow, gorgeous.
Sarah outdid herself.
Great line work.
Really, really cool stuff.
Yeah, that's a lovely face.
Yeah, I think if you did a Disney princess version of Molly, this is who you need to talk to. Talk to Sarah.
I love it.
Definitely help you out with that. All right, let me. Oops.
For our Disney Plus pitch.
Yes, right. All right, so let me Disney Plus. Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm still waiting for my Ballyskillin cartoon that's going to be coming out. I'm sure it's going to happen.
And the first issue is pretty much a animated pilot. That's the other brilliant thing about this. It can be something we sort of hand over to Healy, for example, to present to potential producers, which I always found very exciting.
Yeah, I think it's going to be cool. And Andy, if you want to pull up any of those animatics or animations that Sam kind of talked to, I'm going to let you do that, and I'm just going to share my art real quick, and then we'll move to that. So hold on one moment. And this was my tribute to Molly here. So,
that's great.
I guess I got in the whole like guest model kind of like pose. It's like if Molly became a fashion model for guest jeans. This is what she looks like.
It's kilts, not
right.
Yeah, kilt thing.
But she's very. I mean, the drawing that you did of her, I almost got like a little bit. I don't know when you drew it, but it almost had Gal Gadot vibes to it. I don't know why. But I look so. I Gal Gadot isn't Irish, but when I was doing my illustration, I was like, I have to go for this model angle. But it was really fun. I really like her character design, and I'm interested in defining what the reveal is in terms of what life-changing experience that she has that is in issue 2.
For sure.
All right. Oops. Did we lose Katie? Oh no. Okay. I think she's there. She needs to step back. Okay. So while we're doing that, Andy, if you are ready, if you'd like to share.
I am looking. Okay. I might need a second.
Okay. Take your time.
No worries.
Yeah.
Actually, I should ask Andrew this. How has it been now that people are back at the studio? I personally have found it a little overwhelming because we've got so many new people, and the studio is like so busy and vibrant and bustling during the day. How have you been in relation to that entire year, for example, when it was just pretty much us going into the studio?
Yeah, it is different for sure. Yeah, like I think we're pretty spoiled, kind of a little bit. Like it's nice to have people around, but at the same time, it was like you could just do anything whenever, like everything.
Pretty much, It's like you could blast your death metal if you
like you could do. Yeah.
It's like Andy was going from desk to desk. Oh, I kind of like this desk. Oh, I kind of like this desk. It's like so now everybody's like back in the grind in the studio.
Yeah.
Hopefully Katie will be joining you too. So maybe you have to carve out a space for her.
Cool, Katie, if you could.
I'm working on. We'll all talk after the show.
Yeah, we'll talk about the future. we'll see about that. And so, Andy, I don't know if you're ready. If you want to, it's totally optional. Do you want to share something, or do you?
It's loading right now, so you just have to give me a few more.
Okay. We're gonna. I'll let you. We'll save that. You just let me know when you're ready. But let's go ahead and. Now that we've done all the live drawings, let's move to the elephant in the room, which is what happened this past week, which was the exceptional, funding of the Anthology Volume 4, which you also could get Volume 1 through 3 as well. But let's just talk about that awesome story, because there is such. Yeah. I was in there. You guys did a live stream, watching the clock tick down. And I felt like if that was like the closest thing that I could get to being a part of the Raid family, to see the reactions, to see the joy and the celebration, and it was a great experience to see creators who have toiled and slaved over and put blood, sweat, and tears into these individual stories put together in this anthology, and see it get funded. And not just get funded, it got funded in a phenomenal way, which I'm going to talk about a little later.
It was funded in the first 7 hours, but
Yes.
Ramon kind of, we call it pointing to the bleachers. And this is something Ramona and I always talk about in terms of like how far of a final stretch goal, like what kind of lure can there be? And he just sort of placed the final stretch goal at 60 grand, which again, like within a 24-hour period, it's like, I'm sitting there going, man, how are we gonna try to figure out how to raise like 24?
Well,
let's answer that story. What Sam said. What Sam's already set up. He already set it up. This project is so awesome that it was funded, immediately, and then it was just a matter to see how far it could go. How far it could go. And yes, when this closed this week, it was already funded, and there was hey, wouldn't it be cool if we could get to 60K? Wouldn't it be neat?
that'd be fun.
And somebody thought that too, and so I have a series of text messages.
Final
here.
minutes of the campaign. Yes.
Final minutes of the campaign, and I'm gonna play it, but I'm just gonna let Katie enact this. This is gonna be so Katie, I don't know if you. If you can read this, really, it's going to be small, but I'm going to let you read this. And then
I'm at this point, my dad I know is at home and with my mom, and they're doing nothing. So I say, come watch us count down the Kickstarter. And I said, the whole studio is going to be on, and you can see all the guys. And so they come on, and so I'm on the live stream, and they're on my dad's texting me. My mom can't text, and. I just happened to send him the link because I knew he wasn't watching golf because it was not the right day of the week. And I was doing it right. So I'm like, I sent it all, and I said, this is the actual link for the campaign. And he's like, Mom and I are watching. Luck. And I said, thanks. I'm very tired, so expect nonsense because we are all tired, and this is pure nonsense. And what else is new? Of course, lol. And I just knew what lol meant there. Sometimes he'll use a lol or an emoji. So I was safe sending the lol.
Okay.
And then he comes at me with, how do I contribute? And I was like, oh God, like I'm on the live stream. I'm like, he doesn't have to do that. Like, this is a massive stretch goal. We're funded and everything. He's like, and I know this is what my dad loves to do. So I said, okay, go to the second link I sent you up there, the most recent. Should be a link right to the Kickstarter, not to the raid page or something. Here's a senior citizen trying to log into Kickstarter. 7 years or 8 years after he has created an account, like 8 emails ago.
It's like he just learned how to email. Now he's supporting Kickstarters. It's like,
oh my God.
And he's using emojis. Oh my gosh. It's like,
sending him the links on my phone. I'm like, oh my God. It was, my anxiety was going like this. You could see time is ticking down.
Yes.
They're like, don't worry. Like, I can't deal with this. We'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how have you got it covered? I'm like, well, I can tell them you want to contribute, but that's not how Kickstarter works. You can't walk into the studio and like write them a check. Oh, he's like,
leave a large bag of cash.
Yes.
And then it's just like I'm watching something update here. I'm listening to stuff. Ramon is narrating what and who's. I think he could see some of the like analytics behind the scenes about other people trying to like what's going on.
Yeah, so people around the world who's on the site currently in terms of I think there were people in Europe and it is a global thing, which is
it was huge. So he says, did it through Facebook of all things, Facebook, and then he puts in the to 1200, which was the math at the time. And then he's like, did that do it? Did that do it? Should have been 1201? And I'm like, I don't know.
You were off by 25 cents, Dad.
25 cents, Dad. Like, we did it. We're good. It's okay. I don't have to keep my father at the bookstore. We made the 60K. And I just like, oh my God. I talked about it. I saw him yesterday. I talked about it with him. I made sure I cleared the texts. I cleared putting this up. And I told him, so I forget. I think actually, Sam, I think it was you where you're like, we got to have a new special supporter tier for Bob Sawatsky.
Let's create a tier where he comes, he has a tour of the studio, we get a swag bag, and we take him out to dinner.
Yeah, there you go.
That sounds great.
Take him out to Italian, right?
He wants Italian. I don't know. my dad's either on a diet or not on a diet. So
he's not on a diet. And I think Andy and Sam will take him out to an Irish pub after having some Italian.
Oh, we could do that as well. Go out for drinks after.
We'll go. I'll bring my Andy. Where are you from specifically?
Me? Okay. My girlfriend's from Tip. I was just living in Ireland, but yeah.
Okay. So my husband's from Dublin. So we know all, we'll do that. We'll all go. I'm pointing, even Gerald, if you want to come up.
Oh, I'll be happy. I'll tell this to Sam.
Road trip.
Anytime you guys need somebody to carry your luggage, I'm there. I'm there for you. But that is just this is what I love about Raid. Raid is such a great family, and it's one of those things. It's like even if you're not a member of the studio, if you're just associated mildly, like me, I'm like 40 people far away, like in the United States, and I feel like I got an inside scoop into what the love that is at Raid Studios. And let me pull this up right here because I did
Gerald for basically handing over your show for it was originally a month and now it's extended to like something like 6 weeks.
It is my pleasure. There's so much talent. Your talent pool there at Raid is awesome, and this is the example. This is what I want to share. This is what happened last week. This is the page. Obviously, it's done now. You can still get the book. It won't have all the little bonuses and bells and whistles and that really cool commemorative coin and the what is it? The pin. The
embossment.
Yes.
Everyone unlocked at 60K. That was.
I know. Thanks to Dad.
Bobby.
Dad.
We salute you, sir.
And then this is what I want to say. This is the big statistic because I couldn't get it to zoom in, so I zoomed in myself. This is what's incredible. This is Raid in just proving what Raid is about and what Raid Studios is about. It not only got funded. This number here, 672 backers. That's incredible. I mean, you can say that you got funded. There's campaigns that I've seen that have gotten funded, but they have like a small goal, or maybe they even have a large goal, but the backer number is like maybe 20, 30, 50 maybe. And then you look at the
readers. For the most part, you look at the tiers they're selecting, and these are people who are reading on digital or the 35 tier, or the most popular was this is really flattering. The fact that people went all in and got all 4 volumes as the most popular tier.
That goes to show you that people saw what was on the Kickstarter page, and there was a little bit of a little animated GIF that kind of showed like past volumes and like showing what was there. And it's one thing to say that you have a really good talented pool of talent, but those stories, it's like this was like I keep on saying this, it's like the oatmeal variety pack, the Quaker Oats variety pack of Raid. It's like you can get your apple and cinnamon, you can get your maple brown sugar, fruit, you can get all the different flavors, and it gives you just that enough to know what kind of talent that there is at Raid Studios. And we got to 672 backers, and this is another joke that did we lose Sam? I think we lost Sam. Hopefully he'll join us. I just wanted to say to the 672s, unless you guys, or we lost Andy actually. Did Andy?
He's gone.
Let me get. Oh, there he is.
I'm
All
back.
right, all right, there you are. Okay, I was like, I didn't know how you got
I don't know.
taken off the stream. Okay, but anyway, you're back. I just want to say, unless the entire talented pool at Rig Studios had combined 672 family members or friends, that goes to show that there are that many people that are just interested in what Raid is producing, what you guys are putting out there. And I'm gonna go with the latter. I'm gonna say they saw great stories, they saw great artwork, and they wanted to read more. And that's why it's so easy when Sam tells me that, oh, well, you basically just gave me your show to like promote Raid Studios and the Anthology. I did it willingly because you guys are so awesome, and I just felt like, hey, this is a good way to showcase indie creators, a family of artists, artist members, contributors, consultants, people that are associated with produce something that's just awesome. So yeah, congratulations.
Cool.
I say congratulations. To
Thank
all.
you, Gerald.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I found
All
I found this thing. If you want to
Oh yes,
See
yes. Go ahead and share it. If you hit the share button, I'll let you.
quick, do it quick.
All right. So.
All right, can you see?
Yep. Let me add it. All right.
Okay.
Oh, here we go.
Oh,
This is like simple testing things, but you can go behind this stuff. But then you can talk to Clive.
nice.
And then there's a Fomorian. If you collide with them, yeah,
It's like Final Fantasy going into that.
yeah. So
Yeah.
then right
Street
now,
fighting mode.
Right now
These
the-
animation frames are amazing.
thanks,
This is
punch.
great.
So you can't see what's going on behind here, but like right now he can only punch, but
Uh-huh.
the Fomorian's actually running his. I just don't have the animations playing, but
Oh,
his thing's
okay.
actually running, so the health is changing. Like if I keep pressing this button, oh, see, I can't punch now because technically Rory's dead. He like lost
Oh.
the fight.
Oh,
Oh no.
Well, he's not dead, but you know what I mean. He lost the fight.
Yes, he lost the fight.
So yeah, so it's all working. And now from this point on, I just got to flesh out the animations and the whole thing. But you can interact, you can move around, and it all
This
works.
is
So it's pretty awesome.
so cool. I love
And the
it.
potential for this in a storytelling aspect as well is astonishing. So
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
yeah.
just to expand the interactivity of the storytelling.
Mm.
You're a
Yeah.
genius, sir.
I
I'm
know.
always
It's
in awe.
Andy just like exploring new technologies. Aside from being a crazy good artist, he's figuring out ways to leverage technology to tell that story and show his art more. Animator, as well as NFT generator. It's just augmented reality, just everything. Andy, just really,
Whatever.
really, really cool work. Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we finished the live show. The live drawing part of it, and let's just go. We talked about the success of the anthology. I'd like to just like hand the mic over to you guys and just talk about like the future. You talked about Jupiter Junkie. Sam kind of like beat me to the punch with that, but how about let's just do a little bit of a just a go around here. We'll start with you, Katie. Just talk a little bit about the future, like what your plans are aside from maybe joining Raid, maybe. But I would love for you, Katie, just to talk about any of your future projects and what you'd like to tell everybody to look forward to, and then we'll go from there. So go ahead, Katie.
So much work is actually in games right now. So, and like Sam and I were discussing about, so I have a property that I've been developing off and on for a few years now called Slow Mosey. It's a nihilistic psychedelic western. And
That's a
Yeah.
mouthful.
and I've written treatments. I've done this, I've done that, but I've been making a video game for the last year with the president of the studio, and it's in there. I was able to make an area that is kind of reflective of that slow mosiness. So that effort has now gone into this game, and I'm trying to finish up all the narrative design and all of the mechanics and game design and all that stuff and all the art. on this game that there's no deadline to get it out, but it is kind of like the portfolio of what I've been doing and learning over the last few years. So I have gotten into like working in Unity. We are going to be doing this as an HTML5 based, like a browser based game though.
Oh, cool.
I've been sculpting in Nomad and Blender. I have been painting in Adobe Substance Painter. Like I just embraced all this stuff, which is why I think like Andy and I need to have a
Yeah, for sure.
You need to talk. You need to talk.
Yeah, we do. Our jobs seem like our day-to-day efforts seem very similar. So I'm not sure what'll be next for me. I'm still very excited to draw, but I think launching myself into the 2D art assets of this video game. It had a code title. Right now, I have a working title, and it's called The Sundry. So The Sundry, I'm working on all the art for The Sundry. It's cool. Inspired by a lot of things. It's an adventure tactical RPG, and I'd say it's going to have a lot of DNA in common with the Banner Saga trilogy, which is just brilliant looking. If you haven't seen the art for the Banner Saga trilogy, go look at it. It's mind-bending what they were able to achieve in a two-dimensional space. So that's kind of my future.
Okay.
And it's also soul crushing when your people are dying when you're marching. You know, it's like, I mean, whoever's played the game's amazing. The art's amazing. The game, you make the bad decisions.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna have to like look up that game, but I'll be
so
more
good.
happy when I can see, or happier when I see, Katie's version of this that uses a similar theme. That'd be really cool. But hey, let's hear about what Andy. We got a little bit of a hint about Jupiter Junkie, but let's hear about your future. What do you have planned?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'm doing Baliscillin 2 will be coming up on the docket, and then I got Jupiter Junkie is something in the works at the same time. And then there's no real deadline on like time frame on this NFT like comics platform thing that I'd be messing around with. So I'm just gonna pick away with that like as it comes up. There's no huge rush on that, so it'd be just fun to explore. I just love like I said, like stuff that comes up. Like who knows if some crazy technology comes out tomorrow, then I'll be like, guess what? I'm doing this. Like,
Smell-o-vision.
Smell-o-vision, yeah.
Like for Baliscillin 2, like it was a little bit out of my wheelhouse, but I was trying to get into messing around with like the portals with like AR. So like if you physically walk 2 meters to your left, then like your whole world on your phone changes. So you could like actually walk around the town as long as you don't walk into your table and stuff. Yeah, so
that would be cool.
Yeah. So we got like a test that worked, but it seemed a little more complicated than I originally was getting into it. But with a little more time, and could maybe make it happen. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, that's gonna happen in issue 3.
Yeah, 3 or 4 maybe.
Well, 3 or 4.
We'll see what happens with the Kickstarter for issue 2. We have I'm not gonna give it away, but we do have someone I consider an A-list talent doing our cover. So I'm really excited and about the possibilities.
I'd say he's A+ listed.
Yeah, that's a good hit. All right, that's gonna be cool. Sam, let's talk about your future. What do you got to say? Let's. Oh, you want to talk about your future, Sam? Can you hear us? Okay. Is Sam? Can you hear us?
Your future, Sam.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you're breaking up. I'm assuming you're handing the mic over to me. So let's
talk about the future.
Country,
to talk about your future.
All right. I mentioned it before. And again, no set timeline right now, but Cauldron 5 is going to be launching soon. We have the Saint Nella special and in the fall, the Cauldron hardcover collected edition, which I'm super excited about. Baliscillin 2, of course. And here's what I forgot to plug: Fandemic. We're collecting basically a pop culture parody webcomic that was one of the most popular things I ever did about 6 years ago, with new content with artist Dave Francioso. So go over to check that out. I've on my socials. It's pinned to the top. It's been pinned there for months, if not years now. And I promise, I've been so busy running other people's Kickstarters. It's time to get back into my own. So that will be launching within the next couple of months. And again, we have some exciting, because I've helped out people on their Kickstarters. I have an exciting roster of talent to show off for that campaign. So
that is great, because anything that Sam touches, especially from a crowdfunding standpoint, it becomes funded. It becomes gold. So
you're too kind, Gerald.
He has 20. I am not even just making. He's done 20. He's been associated, linked, like put together 20 Kickstarter campaigns, and he's batting. They're all successful. I think it's a batting 4.0. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not a baseball guy. I'm just saying that he's not failed. So basically, if you need to, he's going to write a book on how to do a correct, crowdfunding campaign.
Don't contact me to run your Kickstarter campaign. I'm way too busy. Sincerely, I'm trying to launch my own campaign.
Yes.
It's very flattering.
He's going to take a breather.
Unless you're like Mike Mignola, then call me, or Jeff Darrow, or one of my heroes. But I apologize. I've had to turn down a lot of people that have approached me in the last few weeks. And again, very flattering. Not a guru. I'm a consultant. I'm always happy to talk shop. Even the people that approached me, I've at least had conversations with them on how to, on things I can see that might help out their campaign. But
you're very generous that way, Sam. You offer advice even in like a non-official capacity. I know that. I know you've given a lot of people little nugs.
Mm-hmm.
Little gems.
The term around the studio has become "I Sam-splain a lot." So I apologize for my Sam-splaining if your eyes do glaze over once you get me. You won't be able to shut me up once you get me started.
If people are asking you questions because they want to know, and that's you're a treasure trove of just good knowledge and just ways to help people. I mean, you're a very generous person, and it's been great, talking to you about getting my inside fix on Raid Studios. So, gosh, I got a little ahead of myself, and now we're gonna go. We're gonna get to this point where we're gonna wrap up the show. And this is where I'm going to give the mic back to you after I took it back, and I'm going to give it back again. I just want you to this is the Oscar speech. And, the Oscar speech has become a bit notorious in the last week in terms of like what that means. I'm just gonna say that no one is going to slap anybody.
Right.
You guys, it's the
Andrew Dorland is a high-level martial artist.
Don't start throwing that around.
It's like
testing this.
Yeah, and Andrew is familiar with the Irish martial arts. You don't want to mess with that. So. That's Irish martial arts. Okay, so this is the Oscar speech. We're going to close up the show, and the Oscar speech is basically your final thoughts, any of your thank yous. We already talked about the future. I should have wrapped that all up when we were talking about the future, that you could give your final thoughts and your thank yous. But let's do this thing one more time. So Katie, give us your Oscar speech, and then we'll go with Andy, and then Sam will close us out. So Katie, the mic is in your hands.
Thanks to the Raid Studio, obviously, for having me on for this anthology, for always having their doors open, even the bathroom door. Everyone there has been so, it's just a great studio to be involved with, and it's a great energy when you go in, and they have a cafe there too. So thanks for coffee. No, Gerald, thanks for having me on.
Of course. It's
always nerve-wracking to do these things, but as soon as I start doing it, I'm like, this is great. I live for this. I miss talking to people. I miss seeing people. Thanks for providing the structure for doing all of that kind of stuff. I'm just really, I feel like I've reached, a little plateau in my career, and I'm really happy when I look around and see who's with me, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, professionally and just socially.
All right, great Oscar speech. And let's just keep the ball rolling here. And I'm about like ready to like tear up a little bit here. So let's go to Andy. Andy, give us your Oscar speech.
Yeah, I'd like to thank the Academy for all the movies I've been in. Actually, I am on IMDb. Me and my brother made like a joke film and
Cool.
sent it
I'm
to
looking it up. I'm
Looking
looking
it
it
up.
up.
don't look it up. We sent it we sent it to like film festivals knowing just that they had to watch it. Like we knew we weren't gonna get in. But just the fact that they had to sit there and watch the whole thing. So I'm an actor on IMDb, so just let them
That's
know.
amazing.
I'll be in the Oscars. And yeah, no, but seriously, yeah, I'd like to thank, of course, Raid for having everyone here, everyone that's been super nice to me since I got back to Toronto. That's been super awesome. Yeah, and thanks for having me on this show. Thanks to all the fans and everyone that supports the Raid stuff. It just allows us to keep making it. So as long as there's people reading it, we'll keep cranking stuff out and make games and whatever other fun stuff. As long as it's a story, I think I'm in. That's about it.
All right, that's a great. And you know, I'm just gonna put one more fact out there because now that Andy, admitted that he's on IMDb, since Will Smith he resigned from the from being on the Academy board, Andy is going to be taking his place.
There's
on
another
the board.
Yeah.
So there you go. It's like Andy's
Surprise.
more than happy. Yeah. All right, Sam, you get to give your Oscar speech. So here we go.
You know what? On behalf of all of Raid Studio, thank you to you, Gerald, for giving us this platform, and thank you for everyone who came out. Like this is mind blowing that we made it to 60K Canadian. I wouldn't have expected it. So it's astonishing that everyone sort of came out, supported it. There's a philosophy that we kind of talk about in terms of the tide raising all ships at the studio, and I think that's really, really true. Whether we're coming together on something like Raid KLAATU or off on your individual project. So in one week, starting at less than a week now, actually, or no, next Monday, Forest Folk.
Yes.
Bands and Shenanigans launching with Dax Gordine.
Dax, yes.
Dax will be back on Comics Cast in the next few weeks, and then in May, Ramon, Fearless Leader, is launching Kukum 1. So please be on the lookout for both of those. Those who have backed the KLAATU campaign, here's the deal. A free 20th anniversary Raid commemorative coin. This is a huge, like 2-inch, hefty, almost like a medallion coin that you can get if you back all the Raid 2022 Kickstarter coins. Woo! And the coin has a crest. I didn't even know Raid had a crest, and it's apparently designed by Chip Zdarsky. So yeah, go to the campaign, have a look at what's on, like zoom in on this coin because it looks like a regular crest, but there's just madness embedded in there because it's Chip Zdarsky. So yeah, check out Forest Folk, check out Kookaberry, and in the fall we have another round of campaigns starting with the Cauldron. What's the subtitle? Appetite for. You know what? We're just going to call it the Cauldron hardcover for now. And
Appetite for hardcover sounds very cool.
Yeah. And check out my pandemic campaign, and hopefully at some point this spring, I'm hoping to have it straddle the Kookaberry and Forest Folk campaigns.
Oh my gosh, that was a mouthful, and it's always good to hear. Not only your futures, but just your thank you. The gratitude and the love is just all there. So I'm just really thankful to have all of you here. That being said,
come into if you're in Toronto, come into the cafe. As Katie had pointed out, we've got an art gallery show right now with Sean Crystal, and then the next in time for TCAF, I think our next exhibition will be Forest Folk with Dax Gordine, and the empanadas are great, the coffee's great. And it's nice to have a community hub that people can come in off the streets, because we've had members, actually, some of the new members have literally just come off the street to check out the coffee shop and end up joining out in the back. So
Oh, that's all right. That's on my bucket list when I go to Toronto. Gotta like check out all those
Cool.
things. But
come to Fan Expo, come
excellent,
for
excellent.
Half, we'll give you the tour.
All right. And get in touch with Sam. That's going to be the tourist hotspot. After anybody watches this show, they're going to want to go to Raid Studio in Toronto. So that being said, I like to end the show with this. So let me share this with you real quick. Okay, so this is our charity partner, Golden, and Golden Fight. We have no financial ties to them whatsoever. They're just a class act charity group. And who is Golden Fight? Golden Fight is a group that I like to say is big enough and small enough at the same time. Small enough in the sense that they are not like international. They're not even really national. They have a very focused approach in my neck of the woods, which is the Mid-Atlantic region. And by having that very focused approach, they can be big. They can be huge. What they do is they help families who are dealing, who have children who are dealing with very tragic diseases like cancer. And when those parents are focusing on the healing of their child, I believe they will have financial difficulties, and that's where Golden Fight comes in. I thought it was like 97, 98% of the money that they raise would go to the families, and that 1, 2, 3%, that nominal amount would just take care of like administrative overhead. But I was wrong. 100%. 100% of the money they raise goes to these families so they can be there for their child. Phenomenal. That's stellar. We've always, aside from like promoting them and talking about them and wanting to bring awareness to Golden Fight, goldenfight.org, we were always trying to figure out ways that we can help support them and maybe do some sort of fun. So stay tuned. We have some things in the works that we're going to try and do towards the end of this year. So if you want to check out an organization that's worthy of possibly contributing to, Golden Fight, goldenfight.org is one of them. We're just very proud to know the leadership, and they do it out of the kindness of their heart, all 100% volunteer. So that is Golden Fight. Let me take that out right here. Have you all on the screen one last time. So this is where I shed a tear, and this is where we have to end the show. We just went over a little bit over 3 hours, and I've been trying to keep these short, but I just want to keep on telling the story of you guys, and it's time flies, and I had such a great time interviewing and showcasing and drawing along with you, and I'd like to think that our audience did too. And I have one last comment I'm going to show here, and this is from Maverick. He says, congratulations. He chimed in all the way from the Philippines. Thanks. It's early in the morning, and he just wanted to let you guys know that he really thinks highly of you and your success. It's a success for indie creators everywhere. And I'm just very happy.
Gerald, do you have your fan art handy, by the way?
Do I have my what?
We should show off your fan art.
Oh, this show is not about no. This show is about you all. If you want to check that out, it's somewhere else. I'll you can check it out on. It's actually hashtagged. I think it's featured actually through Raid Studios Raid or hashtag. This is Studio. I think that's what it is. And the I can't think of the hashtags off my mind, but it was my honor. That was my way of giving back to you guys. I love Raid Studios. And this is Arthur.
This is Arthur. He made it back to time to the end.
He looks so much bigger than the Instagram pictures that I saw.
Because he's huge now.
Yes,
he's gone.
Yeah, okay. But anyway, I want to thank you all, and it's been a pleasure featuring Raid members, Raid contributors, Raid family. So thank you to you all. And this is another edition of Cast Let It Out. Signing off. We're going to have another show next week. We're going to try and get Friday Freestyle, or just Freestyle, our other show, ramping up a little, up again during the middle of the week. But yeah, Let It Out. This is what this is about. And I really, really had a great time featuring all of you. So that being said, I want to say goodbye to you all, and we will see you next week for another edition of Comics Cast. Love you guys. Bye-bye.
Thanks.